she's off. The corner shop is in sight, the National Lottery sign is there, and she's heading right for it. Look at Rebecca. She's making a real difference just by playing the National Lottery. Her numbers help fund Team GB and Paralympics GB athletes, powering their journey to Paris, one ticket at a time. Oh, just look at her go! Unbelievable stuff! Changing lives like it's a walk to the shops.
The National Lottery, changing lives every day. Rules and procedures apply. Players must be 18 or over.
Meet Sage Copilot, your new AI productivity assistant that automates tasks to keep your business running smoothly.
Copilot, help me pay my suppliers this week.
So, if you're a barber like Alfie, it could mean spending more time on what really matters, like more back and sides for his customers.
Oh, perfect. Cheers, Alfie.
Small businesses could save 4 days a month on financial admin. Search Sage Copilot to get early access today. Sage, helping business flow.
The Clyde One Super Scoreboard Podcast.
With Luker's Land Rover. Looking to sell your Land Rover? Contact them today for a no-obligation quotation.
Hello, this is Noel Gallagher.
The Celtic fans to my left, they rob. Rangers are 2-0 up.
I've said it to many, many people. You haven't been in a football game till you've been to that one.
The Celtic bench absolutely explodes with joy.
A superb piece of play by Rangers on the breakaway.
I've been to Derby games, I've been to Manchester derbies.
And it's a goal for Celtic and a beautiful goal.
I've been to big football matches, World Cup matches.
And Sandy Clark scores for Rangers.
European Championship semi-finals and that.
Celtic are back in business. Rangers back in the match.
There's nothing, but nothing compared to that.
Gary Hooper. Davy Cooper lined up the shot. Snatches a goal at the death.
You just haven't done football, so you've been to an Old Firm game, it's as simple as that.
It beat Pat Bonner at his left-hand post.
It's September the 1st.
Celtic come out of the huddle. A goal that has set Celtic Park alight.
Will Celtic stay in first place? Or can Philippe Clement get his first Old Firm win?
Every Rangers player, they're embracing each other.
Very close to the end of this Old Firm match. Drama indeed.
It was just a fantastic day out.
First for Celtic versus Rangers. This is Clyde One Super Scoreboard.
Good afternoon and welcome to Clyde One Super Scoreboard on the first Old Firm day of the new season. Celtic have enjoyed bragging rights in this fixture and have the trophies to back it up from the last couple of seasons. Philippe Clement's yet to taste victory in this fixture and goes into this one having said goodbye to some familiar faces. Drama and excitement guaranteed as these famous old rivals do battle once again. I'm Gordon Duncan, and joining me in the studio you have Gordon Dalziel, Mark Wilson and Hugh Keevins.
4 games into the new league season and it's the biggest match of them all. Assumptions have been made that Celtic are the overwhelming favourites this afternoon because Brendan Rodgers has lost only one of 18 Old Firm derbies and because Philippe Clement has yet to beat Celtic after 4 failed attempts. But you can't take assumptions to the bank and cash them in. You have to deal in reality, and nobody knows for sure what will happen at Celtic Park. But we do know if the home team wins, they go 5 points ahead of Rangers. And if Rangers win, they go above Celtic in the table. But you've got to make it happen.
Lovely, Hugh. Great segue there. Oh, what a day. Yeah, what a day we've got ahead. And, you know, when the fixtures come out, everything builds up to this one. You know, there are important games, of course, leading up to this. But all eyes fixed on when is the first fixture between the pair of them. It's fell today. Celtic in a very good place. Rangers in a much better place with their 6-0 win against Ross County last week. We are in for a cracker.
Yeah, I think Noel Gallagher summed it up perfectly, Gordon. You've never been to a football game unless you've been to one of these. They're so good, they're so exciting. Nothing changed. This is the first one of the new season. Let's bring it on.
Well, you three are stuck in here. You're not at the game, but two men who are, and I know they're looking forward to it. Marvin Bartley is alongside Andrew Maclean, who has the teams.
Yeah, another huge afternoon between these two sides. So early in the campaign as well. A time for one of these teams to make a statement, a game to lay down the intentions for the season, and maybe a game for a new hero to be made as well, with new signings making the matchday squad for both teams, but no debuts handed out from the start. One change for Celtic from that win over St Mirren. Adam Ida drops out of the starting lineup, and it's Kyogo that comes in for him. So Kasper Schmeichel starting in goal. The back four: Alistair Johnson, Cameron Carter-Vickers, Liam Scales and Greg Taylor. The midfield three: Callum McGregor, Paulo Bernardo and Rio Hatate, Nicholas Kuhn and Daisen Maeda either side of Kyogo. Players in the matchday squad for the first time for Celtic: Austin Trusty, Alex Valle, Luke McCowan and club record signing Arne Engels. So the 9 substitutes: Sinisalo, Trusty, Palma, Ida, Valle, McCowan, Engels, Forrest and Ralston. For Rangers, 2 changes made by Philip Clement. Balogun and Tom Lawrence drop out of the starting lineup. Robin Propper returns from his injury and Mohamed Diamandi comes in as well. So Jack Butland in goal. The back four: James Tavernier, John Suter, Robin Propper and Jeff Day. In midfield, it'll be Connor Barron, Dujon Sterling and Mohamed Diamandi, Václav Cherny and Rabi Matondo on the wings. Cyril Dessers leading the line for the visitors. Mauricio Casemiro is on the bench for the first time, and so is Hamza Igamani, yet to make a matchday squad. Has been in and around the Rangers camp for a good while now after signing early in the window. He's finally up to speed and ready to be involved. Nadim Barami is not, though. His paperwork not filed in time to be on the bench today. The substitutes for Rangers in full: Kelly, Lawrence, Casemiro, Balogun, Igamani, Raskin, McCausland, Fraser and Danilo. Marvin Bartley alongside me. What are you looking forward to from this one today?
I'm looking forward for half 12 coming, and as Hugh said there, you know, it's the biggest derby for me in football. Obviously we always speak about not having the away fans, etc., but I'm really looking forward to it, watching both teams out here warming up. One thing I have noticed from the last time being here is the Rangers warm-up seems to be a lot higher tempo. It's a lot more player-led. I spoke about it last time when the coaches being in there and trying to get them going and trying to G them up. This time it's been Tavernier, it's been Dessers, even Turney's came in and had a few words with the players. So yeah, listen, I'm really looking forward to this one kicking off, and it'll be all action, no doubt.
Kick-off is in just over 20 minutes time.
Home team first, Mark Wilson. What jumps out from those team lines? No surprise, I take it?
No surprise. I said yesterday it'd probably be the easiest team selection Brendan Rodgers had to make. Look, the only thing that would be maybe up for debate, would he have started with Ida after last week, or Kyogo, who's now fully fit? But for me, I think that was an easy one. Kyogo, especially in this fixture, he comes to the fore, he's a talisman, he always gets on the score sheet, and he's just proved a nightmare for the Rangers defence. They struggle to deal with him. The front line, again, Maeda off the left, we all know how he's coped against Tavernier in the past. He seems to get the better of him and does a shift going back the way. And Kuhn, I think Kuhn deserves his place in this side. Didn't really hit the ground running last year, but I think this season, when it's kicked off, he's been the main man.
As for Rangers, Gordon, no new signings either in that starting 11, or no deadline day signings, I should say. Maybe not the fullest list of options that Rangers fans ideally go into this fixture with, but is that as strong as they could have gone today?
The big decision for me, and we touched on it yesterday for about 5-10 minutes, we spoke. Would he go with that, what we call the solid midfield 3, or would we go with Lawrence number 10? And I said earlier, if he goes with Lawrence in there again, Celtic have lost 1 in the last 12. If he does that again, it's going to be the same outcome, and I think everybody would know that. He's went with that strong midfield 3 because he knows how good Celtic are in the middle part. Yes, they've lost O'Reilly, a magnificent player, but Bernardo has stood up in these games before, stepped up and obviously produced the goods. So he's went in there to combat that. Tactically, that will be a great battle in there.
Hugh, I'm not sure there's as much intrigue, if that's the right word. Usually in the morning of these games, there's maybe a surprise or someone misses out, and there's a real heated debate in the week leading up about who should play for very different reasons. Not sure we had that this time. Both those lineups quite predictable.
Yeah, an easy team selection for Brendan Rodgers, but look at the bench. 6 of the 9 players on Celtic's bench cost £30 million this summer to assemble at Celtic Park. Everything in life is not about money, but it is when the transfer window's on. And Celtic have put 6 players on the bench who are worth £30 million. That's about Celtic's financial strength. Now they have to deliver on the park. Assumptions have been made. People have said, even former Rangers players have said, that Rangers go into this match as massive underdogs. But the recent history of the fixture tells you that yes, Celtic are by far the dominant side, but there's never a big goal gap between the two teams, and I believe that will be the case today.
I'll do that annoying thing where I pick you up on the words you use, though. People are not assuming Rangers are underdogs. Rangers just are underdogs, surely.
Yeah. But assumptions have been made about the outcome of the game. And you very rarely meet anyone. Well, we had one caller last night who said 3-1 Rangers, followed by a Celtic caller who said it was 3 or 4-0 for Celtic. That's the beauty of this fixture. The night before you can say whatever you like, but today is delivery day.
I think what's great about this fixture, Marvin, is these sides meet so often, 4 and 5 and sometimes 6 and 7 times a season, but yet every one just feels exciting and feels fresh and feels interesting when they meet. Where is this one sort of won and lost, so to speak, for you today?
You defensively have to get it right with Maeda. I think, being a player before, and you've got James Tavernier going up against somebody who's got the better of him so many times, he's going to need help out on that side. I imagine Sterling will play out there and try and double up, but James Tavernier's going to have to start the game well. We know what's happened before. I think it was within 90 seconds, the ball went in behind him and then they conceded a goal. So that's going to be absolutely massive. From Celtic's point of view, I'll be putting the ball behind James Tavernier as often as I possibly can. I'll be feeding it to Maeda. Psychologically, he's going to be starting in a fantastic place, as I said, knowing that he's got the better of James Tavernier on numerous occasions. You spoke about the centre of the park as well. It's going to be important, but Rangers have to keep the ball as well. It's not just about having players in there that can run about and press and try and turn the ball back over. When Rangers do get it, they're going to have to give themselves a breather by keeping it, and that's going to be vastly important for them.
Yeah, Gordon, you try and sort of steer away from cliches about starting games well. Every team in the SPFL and the lower leagues and junior football and amateur football, they say the same thing. Let's start this one. Let's start it well, lads. Come on, let's
first 20 minutes.
But at the same time, Celtic have been rapid out of the blocks in this fixture recently, and then in every single game that they've played this season so far. How much emphasis will both managers be putting on that opening period?
Yeah, I think Marv makes a great point there. I think that Rangers have went for a more solid middle of the park, obviously to help them in their combat. Celtic's magnificent 3. But when they get the ball, they've got to keep it. They can't just keep giving the ball away cheaply, because Celtic will come on top of you. They'll put pressure on you. They'll get pace in the wide areas. They'll get Kyogo, who loves this fixture up front, Gordon. They have to be composed on the ball if they're going to get anything today. Celtic guaranteed will come out the traps. It'll be interesting to see if Rangers press from the front or they drop off and they deny any space, because Marvin's touched on the fullback, right football, Tavernier. I'm a bit concerned about the left one. I think he'll need a bit of cover today, Jeffy.
Well, that is interesting. Usually we're drawn to the middle of the pitch, and the old cliche, it's about who dominates the middle of the pitch. But I think Marvin and Daz do touch on good points. The wide areas are so crucial, because when you look at Celtic's wide players, they've all been there over the distance. Kuhn, maybe a bit newer to the fixture, but you look at Johnson and you look at Taylor's fullbacks and obviously Maeda there, and they know how to play the positions. And you analyse a lot of those previous games and a lot of the goals and where they've came from, mistakes in the wide areas from Rangers, not picking up runners coming in from the other side. Now Barisic is away. He must have hated this fixture come the tail end of his Rangers career, because he always was undone by Abad or somebody else or Jota or whoever. He's up, it's Jeffy now. So they have to get rid of this tag that Daz is right. Jeffy's still up for debate defensively. He's going to be tested today, but they have to be a solid unit, that back four, and that's where you're asking about starting the game well. The back four have to start the game so well for Rangers to have any chance.
Hugh is right, and I don't say that lightly, Marvin, that there are obviously no guarantees, but how helpful is it if you're Celtic, and in Kyogo in particular, you've got a guy who really comes to life in this fixture. In McGregor, you've got another one who's seen it all and then some. in Maeda, you've got a guy who's had a lot of success in this fixture.
It's massively helpful, Gordon. And those Celtic players, as they head into the dressing room now, will know that if they perform, if they play their A game today, they win. It's that simple. And being a player going into a dressing room saying to yourself, listen, if we perform, we win this game of football. Where Rangers is totally different. They know if they're at their best and Celtic are at their best, they still lose. So they need Celtic to slightly come off that. But as you said, people like McGregor, Maeda, Kyogo, massive players for Celtic. But so are the rest. Defensively, they're solid. Greg Taylor does a fantastic job as well, coming inside. So, yeah, as I said, they'll be massively confident. They'll believe in themselves. And they know they've got players on the bench as well, as Hugh said, who can come on and change the game.
I'm always fascinated by the psychological side of it all. Here we have a Rangers side who need to be temperamentally strong today, because Celtic always find a way and Rangers don't. That is the modern day history of the fixture. Celtic, for their part, are playing in front of 60,000 of their own supporters, not a Rangers fan inside the ground. And on top of having a side who have scored 9 goals and conceded none in the league so far, they have, as I said earlier, £30 million worth of new signings on the bench. How embarrassing would it be for Celtic not to win, and to lose would be an absolute calamity in the eyes of their fans.
Marvin, we all become body language experts. It does look like Rangers are, even in their warm-up, are trying to just take little steps to combat that sort of stuff. There's lots of high fives, lots of big group high fives and hugs and all the rest of it, whatever that's designed to do. I suppose actually implementing that once that whistle goes becomes the real challenge.
Yeah, listen, like you said, when the whistle goes, it's totally different. But as you said, picking up on their body language, the tempo that they're doing the drills at, they're getting early touches on the ball. Rangers had the balls out maybe 2 or 3 minutes before Celtic did. And the ball was being zipped around. There wasn't any mistakes being made. As you said, the high fives were there. They were hugging each other. They were talking. They seemed focused. The focus seems there, and that's all you can ask for out of the warm-up. The quality of everything they did was really, really good. And they'll go in now feeling like, listen, boys, we've warmed up well, but as you just said there, when that whistle starts, we have to start this game well, because Celtic are going to come at us. We've seen it in every league game so far this season for Celtic. They start really fast. We need to meet fire with fire.
Well, let's hear from both managers then, starting with the home boss, who is, of course, Brendan Rodgers.
Yeah, I think always expect the challenge. I think the people can sometimes assume that when you're doing well and everything's going great, that you'll just turn up and win. And that's a very dangerous way to think, and that's why at Celtic we never ever do that. We were in a really, really good place as a team from a football perspective. The level that we're playing at, with and without the ball, is really pleasing. But we come into these games, and these are different games. These are emotional games. But what we've always, and how we've always tried to handle these is to focus on our performance. And so the players we prepared really well all this week, and I think Rangers will come in and like I said, it'll be a tough game. Experience
in the fixture, Hugh, is through the roof for Brendan Rodgers. He's had far more success than failure in it, so he'll obviously feel that he can lean on that and use that to get the outcome he wants today.
Yeah, everyone believes in Brendan Rodgers, the fans, the players, but it's a constant business of having to deliver when you're Celtic or Rangers. And although Brendan is 1 defeat in 18 Old Firm derbies, he still has the pressure of being the home team today, the one that most people expect to win the match. He has to get complacency out the window, and he has to get his team to deliver. But what a comfort for him to know that if there is a need to go to the bench, he's got the most expensive player in the club's history. He's got Adam Ida, who scored the winner in the cup final against Rangers, and he's got even Luke McCowan, Celtic supporter as a boy, who must be sitting inside the dressing room at Celtic Park just now thinking that he is having a dream and will wake up, but he may be required to wake up and get out on the pitch and do something.
And of course, Philippe Clement, it's a new look team. We mentioned that stat during the week about Scott Wright leaving, and now James Tavernier's the only surviving member of the starting 11 from the Europa League final. Here's what he had to say on trying to rebuild his squad during this window.
It's a big difference, Rangers now, because a lot of players left. I think it's important to look at the future and to look at the guys who want to work, who wants to fight for the squad. That's the reality for the moment, and we know it's also there's a legacy from the past. I spoke about that at the end of last season, that it was the end of a cycle in many ways, not only in the squad but also in the staff around. So there are a lot of changes. So 16 players left the club now. 6 of them went on a free transfer, so no money coming in. 2 players were end of loans, so you don't get money in also. You need to replace them by other players. So that's not an easy thing as a club. And you need to do that step by step. So we did it in 4 layers. We brought in some experienced players. We brought in some young talents who can play directly. And you saw already good things of them, like Conor Barron and Jefte, for example. And there are others to come. We are building a new squad for the future. It's the only way to do it. We don't have the big money to spend like other teams, so we need to do it in a different way.
And Hugh, what a predicament if you're Philippe Clement. You know that Celtic are the dominant side and they've got all the money and they are the favourites, but at the same time you cannot go a long time winless in this fixture as a manager of either side.
There's one simple rule in Glasgow: the Rangers manager who cannot beat Celtic cannot be the Rangers manager.
Well, we will see how that pans out this afternoon. All the build-up almost finished and kick-off in the east end of Glasgow, isn't it? Clyde One Super Scoreboard is brought to you by NordVPN. Let's be honest, we all want to enjoy a more private and secure internet, especially Gordon DL, while having access to more content from around the world. With just one click, NordVPN can switch your virtual location to a country showing your favourite team whose game isn't being televised at home, so you don't have to miss out. Not only can you virtually teleport your devices around the world, but you can also block malicious websites and stop web trackers, giving you great peace of mind. One NordVPN account now covers 10 devices, so to get the best discount off your NordVPN plan, go to nordvpn.com/SuperScoreboard. This link will give you 4 extra months on their 2-year plan. We've added a link to the podcast description as well. There's no risk with Nord's 30-day money-back guarantee. Terms and conditions apply, and check streaming service terms before use. Honestly, you'll be in safe hands. Think of it like Neuer, Alisson, Donnarumma, Buffon. Safe hands indeed. Now, right, let's get back to the podcast.
And she's off. The corner shop is in sight. The National Lottery sign is there, and she's heading right for it. Look at Rebecca. She's making a real difference just by playing the National Lottery. Her numbers help fund Team GB and Paralympics GB athletes, powering their journey to Paris, 1 ticket at a time. Oh, just look at her go. Unbelievable stuff. Changing lives like it's a walk to the shops.
The National Lottery, changing lives every day. Rules and procedures apply. Players must be 18 or over.
Meet Sage Copilot, your new AI productivity assistant that understands natural language so you can get straight to what you need.
Copilot, draft emails to chase unpaid invoices.
So, if you're a baker, like Diana, it could mean spending more time on what really matters. That's more carrot cake she can bake. Small businesses could save 4 days a month on financial admin. Search Sage Copilot to get early access today. Sage, helping business flow.
And a beautiful goal! Rangers back in the match! Celtic are back in business. The Celtic bench explodes with joy.
Superb piece of play by Rangers on the breakaway.
Gary Hooper! Davy Cooper lined up the shot.
Will Celtic stay in first place, or can Philippe Clement get his first Old Firm win?
A goal that has set Celtic Park alight.
First for Celtic versus Rangers. This is Clyde One Super Scoreboard.
Kick-off is just around the corner. Let's cross live once again to Celtic Park, where Marvin Bartley and first Andrew Maclean will take us up to kick-off.
Yeah, a day that is guaranteed to create memorable moments. Just in the last few matchups between these teams, we've seen last-minute winners, last-minute equalisers, red cards, great goals. What will this one have in store for us today? Just waiting for the teams to make their way out the tunnel. One change for Celtic coming into this one. Adam Ida drops to the bench. Kyogo comes in from the start, so Kasper Schmeichel in goal for Celtic. The back 4, Alistair Johnson, Cameron Carter-Vickers, Liam Scales and Greg Taylor. The midfield 3, Paulo Bernardo, Callum McGregor and Rio Hatate. Nicholas Kuhn and Daisen Maeda providing the width for Kyogo. Substitutes Sinisalo, Trusty, Palma, Ida Valle, McCowan, Engels, Forrest and Ralston for Rangers. 2 changes for them as they make their way out the tunnel, led by captain James Tavernier. Celtic, of course, led by their own captain Callum McGregor. The 2 changes for Rangers, Leon Balogun and Tom Lawrence drop out. In come Proper and Diamandi. So Jack Butland in goal for Rangers. The back 4, James Tavernier, John Souttar, Robin Proper and Jeff Day. The midfield 3, Dujon Sterling, Connor Barron and Mohamed Diamandi, with Václav Černý and Rabi Matondo either side of Cyril Dessers. The substitutes, Kelly, Lawrence, Casemiro, Balogun, Igamani, Raskin, McCausland, Fraser and Danilo. The referee for this one is John Beaton. The VAR is Andrew Dallas. Marvin Bartley is alongside me. I was just watching a compilation on the big screen that Celtic had put together of big moments in recent games between these sides, and yes, there was big goals in there, but the start of the compilation, the whole first half of it, were big tackles, big duels won by Celtic players. It just shows how important that fight and that dig is in a game like this.
Yeah, you have to do both sides of the game, and Celtic will know that. You know, if they think they're just going to come out here and have it all their own way, they won't. They have to do the ugly side of the game, as people call it. That's making a tackle, winning your first header, you know, whatever it might be, and then let your football do the talking from there on in. Also, watching that compilation, it was so interesting to see how many times Matt O'Reilly actually featured in them, and he's obviously a man that's not out there today. But as you said, you know, Celtic will be confident going into this game. They believe they can do it, but the past doesn't mean anything. It's all about today. Nobody cares if Brendan makes it 2 defeats in 19. It's not going to matter about the previous 18 games. It's about the here and now.
Yeah, the scarves go up around Celtic Park as the supporters sing "You'll Never Walk Alone." Of course, 60,000 Celtic fans, no away fans. It looked as if this was going to be the first derby in a good while that there would be an away allocation, but that's not going to happen. We'll see if it does later on in this season. If you look at the top end of the pitch, a bit of a difference in both teams because Kyogo has been there and done it time and time against Rangers. Cyril Dessers did get his first goal against Celtic towards the end of last season here in that 2-1 defeat where John Lundstrom was sent off. But with all the goals that Cyril Dessers has for Rangers, he'll be hoping that he can provide big moments against the opposition the way that Kyogo has done for Celtic.
Yeah, definitely, and he'll believe that he can do so. You know, I think his confidence will be extremely high, as will Matondo's. You know, we know how important he can be to Rangers if he's on song. Far too often he hasn't been, but if he can come up with big moments today, it gives him a massive chance in this game, and we know chances will fall to Dessers.
And another exciting prospect as well is the names on the bench: Trusty, Valle, McCowan, Engels, Casemiro, Igamani, players we haven't seen yet for either team that will be excited to hopefully make their difference today.
Those players coming in and seeing this now, you know, the hairs on the back of their neck will be tingling. You know, it's a massive, massive game.
Yes, we are underway at Celtic Park for Celtic against Rangers.
Clyde One Super Scoreboard. Goal flashes. With M&D Green Pharmacy. Planning your holiday? Get essential health advice and medication before you travel.
We better be quick. Dyson Maeda had Celtic 1 in front at this stage last season, so go on, get your pre-match predictions in. There's a free kick to Rangers inside 20 seconds, a chance to get a ball into the box.
There you go. Celtic 2, Rangers 2.
Oh, 4-goal thriller and a share of the spoils, says Hugh Keevins. He doesn't get much right, but we will see. Mark Wilson.
3-1 Celtic.
Right, okay, I'll balance it up. I'll go 2-1 Rangers.
Oh, a real split in this studio. Do you believe that, or are you just trying to mix things up?
I'm dressed in blue, I may as well just go for it.
Alright, okay, fair enough.
I don't believe it in my heart, but I'm going to balance it.
Can't believe Mark Wilson's wore green and white hoops, I have to say. But anyway, Černý puts the ball in early on, and Rangers are round the back. First chance of the game. It was a curling ball from Černý. It was a good one. You're looking for Proper to probably just try and nod it back across the face. He gets round the back in a lot of space.
I think he's got to do better.
Too much purchase on the header.
Yeah, I think he's got to do better. He gets away from the Celtic defence there. He just has to take a little bit off that, and it causes problems for Celtic.
Just good too high, the header. It just needs to be flatter. You know, great run, great ball. Obviously something they worked on, but it just needs to be flatter across the 6 yard, and somebody's got to tap in.
We've said it before, you know, when there is a clearer sort of structure or identity or whatever, Gordon, to what Celtic do in their favourite. So really it is in Rangers' best interests to try and make it a bit chaotic and try and really get in about it early on, and it is always easier said than done, but that surely has to be the plan that they at least try and go for.
Yeah, don't let Celtic settle into the pattern of the passing, the movement, the interactions between the players, getting it wide, getting in behind, and Rangers have done that so far. Celtic have not been out their own half yet.
I mean, only 2 minutes in, but already, Mark, you can just see the difference in the attempts at stopping Celtic. It's Diomande's gone right up against Callum McGregor. We've had every different attempt at it. We've had sit off Callum McGregor, we've had Todd Cantwell try and do it and fail to do it, we've had Tom Lawrence and Dessers trying to drop in. Rangers are pressing really, really high, and Celtic can't get out yet.
Well, it's much better right away. You know, Diamande, nothing else in his mind than to sit in Callum McGregor. And how many games has he dictated?
Yeah, Celtic looking ropey at the back. Carter Vickers gets it and just fires it straight out of play.
The start has rattled them. And if Clement can't learn, he's had 4 goes at trying to beat Celtic and not managed it yet. So if you don't learn from that, then you are in trouble. But clearly he has gathered his thoughts and he's examined why he can't get a win against Celtic, and he's tried something different to change that stat. And Celtic,
but now Rangers give it away, and then Connor Barron slides through. Well, adjudged to have slid through the back of Kyogo. I think it was Czerny's poor pass. Yeah, it's one of those, Mark. Connor Barron he gets all the ball, but Kyogo does well, gets his body in front, and it probably is a foul.
Yeah, maybe just a bit of slackness there from Rangers, because I actually thought they worked it well and got it out wide, and then when it came in. But Rangers have started well with a press. You can see a marked difference. If you take away McGregor and the option of McGregor, it obviously narrows the options for Carter Vickers and Scales. And if you get Dessers pressing right, then you see Celtic giving it away a few times. But it's opened up now.
Yeah, and here comes Callum McGregor through the middle, but excellent from Sterling. But then Bernardo nips in, and Celtic's taking them 4 minutes to get into Rangers half, which you wouldn't have predicted. But we're on now, and Rio Hatate just spins away lovely. He fires one from distance. It's even for his standards,
Rangers will be happy
too
Rangers
ambitious. That one
will be happy with that. But just a wee lesson there for Diamande. He takes his eye off the ball, and all of a sudden McGregor just moves and kills him. Absolutely takes him out the game. He's got to be clever enough to say, do you know what, I need to match his run, because if I give him that much space, the quality of McGregor's have got.
That's where it is a tough challenge, Mark. This notion that all you have to do is try and stay near Callum McGregor, as if that fixes everything. But Rangers they look like they've at least got more of a plan to do it than they have in the past.
Well, you need others round about you. Like I say, if you take out Callum McGregor, fine, but you need others to press at the right times. I thought they got it right in the first few minutes there. Forced mistakes. Just need to be careful here. They're trying to play out, which is brave, but Celtic are good at pressing.
It looks like Jack Butland got that wrong, but ends up finding James Tavernier, and this is really, really much better than we've really seen from Rangers, because Celtic's press isn't as aggressive as Rangers is so far, which you really don't expect in this fixture. And Rangers do get out this time, and it's a throw in down Greg Taylor's side.
And what's helped them, Gordon, is because Celtic have dropped off a little bit, Rangers have passed the ball about, get the feel of the game, and everybody will tell you, especially in this fixture, you've got to get a feel of the ball, a touch with the ball, get a bit of confidence. And it was good football there, and they broke obviously through Celtic and got a throw in and a wee opportunity here.
So no chances then early on in this one, 5 minutes in. But Rangers will be, I think, relatively pleased. There's a temptation that you go overboard because of where the bar is. Celtic are favourites and they tend to start fast and all the rest of it. So the bar is a bit different, but Rangers will be happy with.
Well, look at the pressure that Schmeichel's under here, and Celtic are putting themselves under pressure by playing the ball about at the back in the way they are doing. So Rangers are all over them.
Yeah, chance Rangers. Cyril Dessers into the box.
He's got to score.
So tame.
My man has got to score.
So tame. He shifts it onto his right foot. He can see the whites of Kasper Schmeichel's eyes.
It's offside anyway,
and he really has to score. But yes, I think a late flag has gone up.
Well,
it's an early warning for Celtic. Yes, it's offside.
It would have been offside.
But the pattern of the game so far has been contrary to what we've seen over the last year or so.
Yeah, there's Carter Vickers again. Rangers press is really, really working inside this first 6 minutes. Connor Barron has it and just puts it into the centre circle where James Tavernier is. So that tells you a bit about how Rangers are set up, trying to allow Czerny space on his own. That used to be James Tavernier's role, but things have changed a little bit.
I think he's tricked away Tavernier coming in as well. Celtic were brilliant at it with Taylor and Johnson, inverted fullbacks. Tavernier's coming in and leaving the space for him. Good start from Rangers. Real good positive start from
Rangers very much the dominant side inside the first 7 minutes.
Celtic looked like the away team. So you wouldn't be surprised if Rangers did get their noses in front here, because they are really up for this occasion and moving the ball about well, as Marvin Bartley said in the pre-match. The warm-up, zipping the ball about, no mistakes being made, and it's carried on.
Rabbi Matondo, I think it is, gives it away to Hatate, but it is one back, and then it goes back the way. And this is the first time Dyson Maida's got some grass. Not when he's around. Are you joking?
He actually gave up on that and then decided I'll just catch it.
He's got some grass to run into. He comes back in the pitch just looking for a teammate. We've not really seen much of Celtic go forward, but here they are, a crossing opportunity, and Dyson Maida just can't quite get there. And that just shows you, Mark, it does not take much for Celtic to spring into life.
Well, I think that's been the problem for Rangers in previous fixtures as well, that they get a good little period and they switch off, and Celtic so quick to punish them, and they could have been punished there. Good ball across the face, and Maeda just needed to be in there a couple of yards quicker, and he had a tap in. It's a good open game. I've got to say, Rangers certainly have tweaked their tactics in terms of pressing, but you're right, on the ball definitely different as well. Tavernier much more narrow, Tierney wider, harder to play against.
Great start to a game.
Yeah.
Great start. It's got everything about it. It's got good pace, it's got good passing, movement. Tactically it's brilliant. So I've got to say I've really enjoyed it so far. Let's continue.
I think that move there, Hugh, shows that as much as Rangers will be pleased with their start, you wouldn't be, in the Celtic fire out of play
again,
you wouldn't be amazed if Celtic take the lead, because they don't need much to sort of spring into life in that final third.
That there you have just outlined the fascination of the fixture, because the ball in from Greg Taylor earlier on was magnificent, but there was no one there to take advantage of it. But that was an example of how quickly Celtic can put you under pressure. But if you don't learn from your mistakes, then you are doomed to repeat them. And Philippe Clement has learned from 4 games against Celtic, none of which he has won, and they look as if they are capable of doing something in this game.
Rangers, Celtic's press, Mark, looks like, I'm not saying it's accidentally less effective, it looks deliberate. They're the ones that are dropping off Rangers a bit more than Rangers are to them. Is that fair? Or?
Yeah, well, it looked like it's only Kyogo going between the two centre backs, and they allow Suter to come out. Now Suter played alongside him, he's quite able to carry the ball, so not quite sure about that tactic. It looks a bit easy for Rangers to get out just now, whether in previous fixtures it's almost impossible for them to get out. So definite tweak from a Celtic point of view.
I've got to say, as Tavernier,
cross into the box from James Tavernier is a good one. It's a decent chance. It is a decent chance for Rabbi Matondo. Maybe not who you want a header to fall to if you're Rangers, but he might have been offside as well.
He's offside,
but not much in it.
No, but I'll tell you what, it's another warning to Celtic. Rangers have decided to, I said earlier, what would they do? Would they press high? Certainly
extremely high.
Yeah, but they've got to be careful, because Celtic certainly have the quality to pick you off, and then all of a sudden you're in trouble.
Yeah, and there it is. That is brilliant from Celtic. They have wriggled out of a really good Rangers press, and this could be it. Kyogo's in if he can stay on side. It's squared, and we've got a goal at Celtic Park.
Goal flashes with M&D Green Pharmacy.
Textbook counter-attack from Celtic. If VAR stays out of the picture, that is clinical. Rangers press at one end. The passing was quick, the movement was brilliant, and it is that man, Kyogo. He is a Derby Day specialist once again, Hugh Keevins,
and that's why he was played in preference to Adam Ida. It is a sweet goal from Celtic.
Hold on though.
Oh, he's a mile off.
Nicholas Kuhn
might
be offside. I don't know if Kyogo is when the ball comes across, but I'm sure those at Clydesdale House will be having a look.
Well, to analyse the goal, if it stands anyway, it's a sensational piece of football from Celtic, and textbook how to play out from the back. Drag Rangers in, up to, is it Bernardo or Hatate, off to McGregor, who's a willing runner, quick passing, precise, incisive, and what a goal. But will it stand? I don't know if maybe Suter, I'm looking at the lines of the pitch, maybe it's going to be tight though.
Sensational, Gordon, that's sensational. I said it, they must have heard me all the way to Parkhead there. You've got to watch your press, because this team are so good. One touch football, movement, all of a sudden.
Yeah, well, John Beaton's still got the finger to the ear. Well, it's going to be tight anyway, so it's going to take a second either way. And he's got his finger to his ear. And it's been a real fascinating start to this one. No
goal.
Offside. There we go. It remains Celtic 0, Rangers 0. But a real warning sign. It's Nicholas Kuhn who's off just. But a real warning sign, because that was blistering from Celtic, Mark.
Oh, without doubt. And you know, it's a warning when you look at that back four and how spread out they are, and that still that we had there. For Jeffy, he's got to know that he's got to narrow in and not allow that ball through to Kuhn, or it'll be on all day. So a definite warning sign for everyone in a blue shirt, because it was so good the way that Celtic worked their way out of that.
Yeah, it's a terrific warning for Rangers. If you're going to press, you've got to make sure you get that press right. It's okay saying, go and press high up the pitch, but if you don't get it right, you've seen there 3-4 passes, the ball's in the back of it.
In fairness though, right, is this not the beauty of, look, there are two teams involved and they're trying to outdo each other? Because what did Rangers really get wrong versus what Celtic did really well?
Look, if that goal stood, you would give all the credit in the world to Celtic.
The one into Bernardo is so tight. Someone is on him, they're round him, but he still manages to knock it off.
I think McGregor's movement is key to it, because McGregor gets off Diamande, and it's just a willing runner. You know, he knows that partner play's coming, so he's a yard ahead of Diamande already in his head before the ball's played. That's the difference.
And that's the risk you take,
minds.
because if Bernardo doesn't get it right, then it's
McGregor's out of position. Yeah.
But anyway, what a fascinating start. Celtic thought they'd taken the lead. We should really just be used to this. Doesn't matter whether it's a game of this size or not. You know that if there's an inch or a couple of inches given, VAR will find it.
Well, it was clearly offside, so I know we'll have to go through all the dreary arguments afterwards about the match officials and the VAR, but it was offside, and it was moments of individual brilliance from three Celtic players that created what would have been, but for those couple of inches, a magnificent goal. But it is already less than 15 minutes in, a quite sensational game.
Yeah, I wonder what the psychological impact of that does, Gordon. Does it give Celtic a lift because they know what they're capable of in case they'd forgotten, or does it knock you a bit when you think you've taken the lead and then it gets ruled out?
No, I think the first one, I think they'll realise, look, I'll tell you what, we'd have to be patient here. Rangers have started the game well. I think this is a tactic Celtic's adopted this afternoon. Drop off a little bit, let Rangers come high, and then all of a sudden you get in behind them, because you have to use the pace of Kuhn and Maeda. Now if Rangers go deep and sit deep, there's no grass in behind, so bring Rangers out, then go and play the passes and movement.
I think this build-up that we're seeing allowed though is to stop Barron getting on the ball. You look at Barron there, we've seen about a minute there, Rangers on the ball at the back. Barron constantly moving, but Hatate or Kyogo is making sure they just drop on him, so it has to go centre half to centre half, and they're not allowing him to get on the ball. So they obviously know he makes Rangers tick. He's the one that can play forward passes, and they're trying everything they can to stop him playing.
Rangers try and go over the top from Suter to Matondo. Again, Gordon, that looking at that pace coming in off the side in a more central area, if you like. But it's a foul to Celtic. James Tavernier trips Callum McGregor.
Yeah, but there's times that Rangers have went to Celtic Park and just continually played that ball. I remember trying to play Sterling constantly, but that's probably the first time the game, and I don't mind that. Mix it up a little bit, change it. You know, Rangers have tried to play patient football as well. I think both teams are just testing each other, but I tell you what, they're a terrific pace to this
Important
game.
Intervention from Jeff Day, because that was going to get slipped right down the line and Celtic would have been in for a good crossing opportunity, but the left back sticks out a leg. And we did say big afternoon for him going back the way Mark. Celtic are got a chance to cross if Alistair Johnson can keep it in. There's a slip in the box and there's a goal at Celtic Park.
Goal flashes with M&D Green Pharmacy.
Dalziel, Maeda, surely this one will count. 16 minutes gone, Celtic 1, Rangers 0. Alistair Johnson did well, he kept it in down the right, he fired it across. There was a crucial slip in the Rangers box, and Dalziel Maeda is not the man you want around if there's a slip involved. He fires low into the net, and it is this time, you would imagine, Celtic 1, Rangers 0.
Well, I don't know where you would find any dubiety about that goal. And Alistair Johnson, terrific ball in. Maeda, sharp as attack, but Rangers defensively found wanting.
I've got to say, brilliant from Celtic. Maeda again, He's a real thorn in Rangers. But Johnson, great run, ball across. Yes, as a proper slips. Okay, we can accept that. James Tavernier, come on, you've got to defend. If you're a Rangers captain, you've got to lead by example. Defend. Also, Matondo lets Johnston run off him all day long. Laziness after a good 17-18 minutes opening. You know, all the work they've put in. You've got to do your job. Go and track them. But well done to Celtic.
Yeah, Mark,
terrific.
but we've said it time and time again, Celtic have players that do the business in this fixture. Kyogo did it, and the offside decision ruled it out. And if you can't stop him, or if you can stop him, then Dies and Maida will pop up.
They just know their jobs. They know the areas of the pitch that they need to fill when the ball goes into a certain area. And you know, Maeda knows when that ball goes to the byline, if it's Johnson, if it's Kuhn, if it's whoever, Bernardo, he knows the position to fill. Look, Tavernier, yeah, he could probably get a bit closer. But I see Daz's point. I was just about to say Rangers need to be careful with runners going off the back of them. Bernardo, just moments before, got off the back of one of their midfielders, and that time Matondo allows Johnson just to run off the back of him. And it's just been a common theme from Rangers in these fixtures.
But then the man who scores the goal is now sprinting all over the pitch and chasing back and taking the ball off Václav Černý. That's what he does, Hugh.
Yeah. You were Celtic look electrified by the goal. And the Rangers players, it's now a test of their temperament, because they're thinking, but for a couple of inches, but for VAR, we'd be 2 down inside the first 20 minutes. I only throw it out there. Could the goalkeeper have shown a stronger hand?
Do you know something, Hugh? I'll need to look at it again. I can't really answer that. But we said, I think Marv touched on Tavernier in the right hand side. I thought Celtic would target Rangers down the left hand side. Johnson makes a terrific run. There's a great thing in football. Go with your runner, match your runner. You've got to do the dirty side of the game.
Jefty goes into the book for a foul on Nicholas Kuhn. Mark, what did you make of that?
Very, very soft. He comes into the back of him. Kuhn just spins away, comes into the back of him, but it's a bit unfortunate there to get booked.
Because we've seen a Jefty on a yellow card in a big game, causing Rangers issues before. Gordon does that.
It would worry me, especially in this fixture, and I say that Celtic look like they're going to target Rangers down these wide areas.
Do you think that was a yellow card though?
No, but what I'm saying is,
if I'm the fullback, I'd be furious at getting a yellow card for that.
I totally agree, Bart, but what I'm saying is I'm a bit concerned about him now. You know what I mean?
I think because you wonder what, I'm sure John Beaton has, he obviously thinks it's stopping a promising attack because it's not a reckless challenge. But was there any guarantee Kuhn was going to?
I don't think Kuhn was getting the ball
on the end of it. Anyway,
so it's all went pear-shaped for Rangers pretty quickly. From that opening Celtic goal, it was ruled out, to now, losing another. Their left back booked.
There's a clash there.
Yeah, it was Johnston, Diomande ran in, and Johnson. Well, I think
yellow card for Diomande.
No, I think is it Alistair Johnson? It was getting a bit I was going to say it's getting feisty. It's actually not really, but all of a sudden a couple of yellow cards have come out for fairly minor incidents.
Yeah, it's a bit silly. It's a passionate game. It obviously.
Well, there you go. That's it balanced up then. If it is, because that's the two fullbacks on that side. As Alistair Johnson does go into the book.
Well, there you are. It's the same principle. He needs to be careful now. He's got Matondo running at him. And the last thing you want is
Alex Ray booked, I think.
Alex, we had to get in somewhere, didn't he?
He looks well pleased about it.
I got on the telly.
He's saying sorry
to Clement. No, I think it's sorry to Clement. Old pal.
That passion's still there.
He loves it, doesn't he?
Yeah.
It makes a difference from him jumping around here trying to kick us when these games are on. It has to be said. So
listen, there's nothing up with a bit of passion in the game.
Oh, that first time pass from Rio Hatate is unbelievable, and it allows Celtic to get up the pitch. There could be problems here for Rangers. It's out for a corner, I think, and Tavernier had to make it because it would have been a penalty if Maida had nipped in front of him.
I'm not going to pick in any player here. Tavernier looks a bag of nerves every time the ball.
He's trying to control that. I don't understand why he's trying to control that rather than just intercept it and get it away.
Let's get back to after the incident, because I think the corner isn't going to be anything. Is it nerves, or has James Tavernier quite simply looked leggy all season?
I think he's had a terrible start to season, Gordon. stick up for him every time on this show.
Paolo Bernardo on corner kick duty, out swinging. You suspect in the absence of a certain Matt O'Reilly. I noticed Greg Taylor was overtaking the corners last week, Mark, after Matt O'Reilly left.
I have to say, I think Bernardo has started the match terrifically well for Celtic. The O'Reilly mantle is a heavy one to carry, but Bernardo has really started well.
Well, of course, scored in this fixture last season, but was in the box from it's a quick thinking throw from Celtic, and Callum McGregor just couldn't quite wrap his foot round it, and it's a corner off Conor Barron. But it just shows you how
I'm not so
quickly.
sure about quick think, Gordon, rather than just Rangers
Slow
switching
from
off.
Rangers, okay.
I mean, it's a throw in to the touchline. Callum McGregor's ran maybe 10 yards. Somebody's got to pick him up.
Is it Matondo?
Yeah, Matondo's holding his hamstring.
Yeah.
I don't really see how he overcomes this, but we're not physios. No point in speculating. But if you're down on 22 minutes clutching your hamstring, then you've probably got issues. Tom Lawrence, Ross McCausland.
No,
like for like.
I think he's got to keep it light for light.
So McCausland then?
Yeah, probably for me. Look, they are 1-0 down.
Yeah, is Ross McCausland called over? Cortez was back training this week, but no space on the bench for him, and he has been called over. Ross McCausland. Rabbi Matondo's getting the old hamstring stretch.
Well, if that's the case, he's got to go off. There's no point whatsoever. But I'll tell you what, he'll be disappointed with Celtic's goal, Matondo. I think he's got to do better. Yeah.
Is that where he pulled his hamstring by any chance?
I've no idea.
You'd be blaming on that. The man I felt a tweak there. That's why I couldn't follow him. But it was going so well for Rangers. Press looked good, created a couple of good chances. Desser's one that was offside, okay. Matondo's header, and you thought this is a different Rangers side. However, bad habits have quickly formed again, and it's cost them early in this game.
Corner to Celtic, it's now worked in. Callum McGregor, he scored a lot from outside the box this season, but that one wasn't really on. It was good pressure from Rangers in the end. It took them a second to get to grips with the plan, and Rangers almost allowing Celtic in behind. It's another good move. And now Conor Barron thinks about pulling Nicholas Kuhn's shirt, and Jack Butland will just come and take that and maybe take a bit of pressure off, because for all Rangers have started brightly, Celtic have had one disallowed.
He's back on.
They've now scored. It's very much Celtic in the ascendancy here. Rabbi Matondo might well survive this, we'll see.
Well, I mean, another goal for Celtic before half time, and Rangers are bang in trouble. So the Rangers start to the game was different class, but they're falling away.
I've got to say, if I was Celtic right now, everything would be going to Kuhn for me. I think the left back at Rangers, I said it last week.
But is the issue for Rangers though? You could say that about the other side.
Yeah, but I just don't think he can defend.
There we go, there's a rare misstep from Callum McGregor, and Dessers blocks it. Celtic almost win it back, but then it does become a bit scrappy over on that far side. And I think that's where, Mark, that up until now there is a marked difference between the sides, that if Celtic pounce on a Rangers mistake, they quite often punish them or look close to punishing them. It doesn't quite happen the other way round yet. It might in the remainder of today.
I think when you look at how Celtic move the ball, and they're always looking for that forward pass that will split defence, that's the difference. Rangers maybe second guess it and go sideways.
It's a decent one, and it's a corner. That's, Rangers, it's nothing spectacular, but when you turn Celtic and make them go back the way, and Scales does well to get his body in front of Sterling, but he kind of has to put it out for a corner. So
I think Rangers, apart from the goal, I think Rangers are doing okay, Gordon. You know what I mean? Their press,
they've slipped out of it a bit since the goal.
Well, look, you're up against a Celtic team that have started the season terrific, and you see some of their passing movement. As much as we're saying go with the runners, it's very, very hard, because they're that good. We've all been in that situation. You think, I've got him. Next minute you're looking round, and like saying McGregor, he's away from you.
Corner to Rangers. It's a brilliant defensive header from Liam Scales. He'll know, like everyone else, that Austin Trusty's arrived, and many Celtic fans think it's to take his place. And who's this pressing? The captain all the way through to Jack Butland. Got a bit excited there, I think, Mark. I don't know if he... nice nutmeg from Jeff Day on Dyes and Maida. And that's what Jeff Day does give you.
However, great recovery from McGregor. He's back into slide and win it high up the pitch.
Nicholas Kuhn's the one scampering across the pitch. How strong from Sterling, but Kuhn still has it, and then eventually John Souters had it robbed off him. This is frantic stuff. Hatate edge of the box. He thought about the shot. He's done that before in this fixture, But Rangers need to be careful. They do the hard bit, Gordon, and win it back sometimes, and then they fall asleep.
Yeah, and I don't know why.
It's
the ball
excellent.
yeah,
It's
a great ball
Greg
in
Taylor,
here.
corner Celtic.
You've got to realise that in the box you can't take 2-3 you know Celtic players are going to close you down. I've got to say, everybody talks about Celtic signing policy in the summer. Nicholas Kuhn looks a new signing for me. He looks a completely different football player.
Strong there, doesn't he?
Oh, he looks terrific.
How important is speed of thought, Mark? Because John Souttar is comfortable on the ball. He's a ball playing centre back. But if you're not thinking as quick as the Celtic players round about you are,
got to know who you're up against. Got to know you're up against. But you think they're going to nick it.
Corner Celtic, Bernardo's going to whip it into an area it's fairly comfortable for Rangers to defend.
Good header, good area. The ball's delivered into, but I think it was Souttar that time. Equally, Liam Scales, what a defensive header. The other side as well. You know, height and distance, exactly what you teach centre halves.
Okay, 27, almost 28 on the clock. Celtic 1, Rangers 0. Dalziel Maeda separates the sides. Kyogo did or thought he had Celtic in front, but a very tight VAR offside decision meant it stayed level, just not for long. And Dalziel Maeda taking advantage. Rangers started brightly and pressed and looked to be rattling Celtic a bit, but you have to say, certainly since the disallowed goal, Celtic have looked like the dominant force in this fixture.
It's the one thing about Celtic, you realise, especially at Celtic Park this season, they don't panic, Gordon. They were misplacing passes, Rangers were in their face, but all of a sudden they've got into their tempo now. They're starting to play at their pace.
Here goes Nicholas
movement.
Kuhn towards the box. He's just the twinkle toes, but the pass is not, it's a bit too cute, and he can't find Rio Hatate.
You look at that Celtic midfield there in the build up when it's gone back to Carter Vickers. They split to allow that big gap for Kyogo, and he comes off proper, and it's so easy.
Oh, here goes Carter Vickers. He's driving to the box and no one's stopping him. It's just going to be flashed across the face. I don't know who got the final touch. I don't think the officials do either, but it's a corner.
I think it's Souttar. I think it's good defending from Souttar, but that's too easy. You can't allow Celtic centre half just to run into your box without even challenging them. It's too easy for Celtic.
It's not even a real feature of Carter Vickers' game. I mean, he doesn't. It's not the whole Christopher Ayer type thing you used to see.
No, but the gap opened up for him. They thought, I may as well go for it.
Bernardo again. He's getting good corner practice in. He's had a couple from either side. Liam Scales fancies it. He's up against Dujon Sterling. And just a bit of a better height this time. Oh, and it's flashed across from Dalziel Maeda. Almost creeped in at the back post. A bit of a close one. Terrible. Terrible from Kyogo. Oh. And this is sort of frantic
ugly
stuff. Frantic as you would expect.
The sign of a striker, you know, in that wide position. Not really knowing what to do.
But Jack Butland's goal kick, and there we go.
He's giving the easy way out.
Is just it's clumsy because Celtic are under pressure at the back, and he just trips Alistair Johnson as he came across. But that's a chance for Celtic. Maeda's only 4 yards out.
Someone the size of Maeda to get a header at the front post when you've got defenders. That's what they're there for.
That's obviously what Celtic are doing this season.
The quality ball,
last
brilliant
week as well. They were the exact same last week.
I tell you what, we don't often give Kyogo stick though. Maeda plays his part, gets across and flicks it. Kyogo's so far out and wide that he should be across and tapping that in the middle of the 6-yard box.
Yeah, Celtic looked much more at it than they did inside the first few minutes. It's certainly an important period of the game to see if Rangers can keep this at 1 or get themselves back level, because Celtic look hungry.
Well, Rangers look, Hugh, Rangers look like a team now are thinking, don't lose another goal.
Yeah, exactly.
Don't lose another goal.
Yeah, because if they do before half time, it's game, set and match.
When Celtic get the ball, everything's so methodical. I was just chatted about the midfielders splitting wide, and you leave gaps for Kyogo and then runners off. They know what they're doing. It looks like everybody understands their job in possession, and I'm not quite sure I can say that about Rangers. Apart from their centre halves, who have obviously been told to keep the ball and wait for the prime opportunity to play forward, everything else is a bit detached.
Rangers have never got the ball to the wide areas to go and test the fullbacks. You look at Celtic, they can play quick.
That's good from John Souttar though. That's the plan.
Better, yeah.
He just skips away from Rio Hatate. I mean, that is what John Souttar's good at. He's always been like that since he was a teenager, playing next to Mark Wilson.
That's it. Yeah, no, you're totally right. That's what he is good at, and he can drive and commit others and play around about them.
Because
he needs more than that.
It's not like Rio Hatate's easy to skip past. No. He's tenacious, but Souttar does it well. But Rangers then just need to try and build that next bit, because Celtic look like they're starting to enjoy it a bit more.
I think they need to get the ball to this man, Tierney, much more. I think he's a good outlet for Rangers, dangerous, he can come inside, but very rarely seen in this opening half hour.
Yeah, Celtic just forcing Rangers back to the halfway line. 32 gone, Celtic 1, Rangers 0. I'm sure the home support will be welcoming more of that attacking play that we've seen, and sometimes you just have to put it long. Kyogo went down, but no real protests. It was a bit of a tussle with Robin Propper, who, Gordon, is part in the goal. It's always going to look calamitous. He ends up sort of lying in the box, and I think he tries to put his head on it, or does he just slip? Is it all bad luck?
I think the lad's unfortunate, Gordon. It's happened to us all. He's went to go for it, he's slipped, and he's tried to go with his head. But I still think that if you're looking for your captain, as much as Maeda takes all the credit, but try and get, you're a defender, try and get a bit closer, try and put a leg out to block it. It's too easy for Maeda. He just moves off him and taps the ball into the back of the net.
Yeah, the number of times in this fixture, Mark, that Celtic's wide men have run off Rangers fullbacks to score.
It's incredible.
Someone can count them all up for me, but it seems like it's a lot from memory.
Well, I touched on it before the game kicked off, and I said it was Barisic that hated playing in this fixture, but Tavernier's been guilty of it over and over and again.
Could be a chance for Rangers. Greg Taylor sloppy in possession, but Matondo doesn't do anywhere near enough. And then Celtic a bit loose as well. Matondo and no physio and not play the level you guys have. I always think once you go down and you're clutching your hamstring, I don't really understand what it is that you felt that goes away.
And Cosland is getting stripped as well. The camera went on him, so you would thought the communication was that he's done.
But it's not like it can't be cramp or whatever at that stage of the game, so you wonder what you've felt that is now not there.
Probably his pride trying to rub it to make sure that he gets goes and closes down the fullback.
There we go. Callum McGregor robbed Diamandi, just wanted it more, bustled him out the way, but Dessers can't bundle his way into the box. And that's what for so long Rangers just have not been able to do in this fixture. Diamandi over the top of McGregor, takes it off him and sets Rangers on an attack.
Yeah, but when Dessers gets the ball there, and listen, give the lad a bit of credit, he goes, no support, Gordon. You need bodies, you need to work off with people. He didn't have that.
Jeffty's been a bit loose in possession a couple of times, but Barron comes across and helps him out. Remember, Jeffty is on a booking, so is Alistair Johnson. I think both respective wide men would be looking to try and commit the full-backs.
And so is Alec Ray. He's been here for the phoning.
Strange one about Jeffty. Andrew Maclean, our eyes on the ground, Mark, said that John Beaton did the old pointing around the pitch as if it was a totting up. I don't remember any other Jeffty foul. It could just be me.
They love that, don't they? Referees just pointing, and thinking of justify the booking. It wasn't a booking for me. If that's what it was for, that individual foul, no, not for me.
So all the way back to Kasper Schmeichel. He's sort of famed for being good with his feet since arriving at Celtic, but he tries a really difficult one that just goes on the head of Jeffty in the left back position. That's a good pass, Barron, but that's where
he comes in for criticism.
It's loose, Gordon, and great from Scales though at the same time.
Good defending, but if you're away from home, you're a centre forward, that's a decent ball in. Hold the ball in, get in front of the centre half, make him foul you. If he fouls you, you get up the pitch, but you have got to hold that ball in. That's where he comes in for a bit of criticism from the Rangers supporters, Dessers. He doesn't do that enough for me. He doesn't get his body in front and hold the ball in.
Just looking at that there from Taylor, plays such an important part of how Celtic play. Made it so difficult for Tierney. Comes inside, he's a midfielder, he goes one way or the other, and then you just release Rio Hatate in the wide areas. Celtic are such a difficult team to play against with their movement off the ball.
And maybe a chance for Rangers to spring something here. Connor Barron's moving forward. Good tackle though.
No, you're
from
not
Greg
getting
Taylor.
that time. You're not getting that time in this fixture, especially in the middle of the park. He's been terrific for Rangers, but he's got to learn, if you play in this fixture, you ain't getting that time.
Here goes Celtic. It's Johnson again, right side of the box, and it's almost a carbon copy of the goal, but it's blocked. And it's a bit of a sitter. Was the flag up on Rio Hatate? Because if not, Celtic should be 2-0 in front here for sure.
Yeah, they should. The Kyogo looking for a foul there, but the carbon copy, where was the defence?
Good block from Tavernier, but it was the same. Maeda got off him in the first instance.
Hatate should have scored.
definitely.
Well, I think Maeda should have scored. Never mind Hatate. But once again, Rangers defenders have got a terrible habit of dropping off instead of going and marking their players.
Brendan Rodgers has both hands in the air. He thinks it's a goal twice, and then he's got his head in his hands. Dujon Sterling's been booked for that, bundling into Kyogo on the break there.
Well, once again, it's willing runners from Celtic's point of view, and not matching runners from Rangers that builds to that chance. You look at Alistair Johnson, he's not even in full sprint.
I'm very confused about this, because here comes Ross McCausland for Matondo. That's a good... When was that? That was 15 minutes ago. And I know you try and give players the chance to run something off, but you go down holding your hamstring.
You can't run a hamstring
You
off.
stay on for 15 minutes. But maybe I'm just showing my ignorance here.
Or maybe you run the risk of even greater damage by staying on that long.
What do I know? Anyway, Ross McCausland on for Ravi Matondo. It's a kind of like for like, but it's not ideal, clearly, to be forced into it.
I think if you're Brendan Rodgers, you're disappointed you're not further in front this game.
I can't disagree with that.
Yeah,
I think Rangers got off to a nice start. Everything about them.
Diomande will feel hard done by, because he spun away from a Celtic midfielder, and it would have been a foul. He got the benefit of the doubt initially. Then the pass goes out of play, and I guess your advantage doesn't last that long sometimes. So he's trying to make the point to John Beaton, but falling on deaf ears. Did you think that booking on Sterling was harsh?
Yes, very much so. I really do, very much so. I'll tell you what I have noticed in the last few minutes as well. Well, maybe more than a few. All of a sudden, that front press from Rangers, they're starting to drop off. Because they're frightened of what's going to happen. If they don't get the press right, Celtic are going to play through them.
Also, not sure you can keep that up for the full game, can you?
No, it's very difficult, Gordon, but it's only 38 minutes on the clock. I think they've realised, look, if we cannot get this together and get it right, they've just got the players that are going to play through odds and kill us.
Yeah, it's been an interesting half for sure. As we reach the 39th minute mark, Celtic still a goal to the good thanks to Dalziel Maeda.
You know, if Celtic go in 1-0 at half time, I think
Conor Barron gives it away. Sorry, Hugh.
It's a great pass.
Yeah, chance for Celtic. He'll go outside the box, and it's in the back of the net.
Goal flashes with M&D Green Pharmacy.
How good is that man in this fixture? He passes it into the bottom corner from about 25 yards out. Conor Barron gave possession away. Celtic drove forward. Kyogo holds his hands to his ears. He knows how the Celtic fans feel about him in this fixture, and he's done it again.
Derby day is Kyogo day. He does it all the time, but that is an exceptional goal. From that distance, 25.
By the way, it might be more than 25, and he passes it along. Does that mean Jack Butland's at fault, or is he is
way too far to one side.
I signalled right away. The goalkeeper cannot be standing that far to one side.
For anyone, obviously, we're on radio, we're here to paint the picture. Jack Butland's standing over next to the Green Brigade when Kyogo hits that shot.
What is he thinking?
Do you know something? You blame Barron there, right? Tierney,
yeah.
Flat-footed.
Exactly.
Yeah.
He's let Taylor dominate him, and all of a sudden, the minute that happens, Rangers have got a problem. But you're right, the goalkeeper, who is a brilliant goalkeeper, my goodness.
See, having said that though, to give a bit of credit back to Kyogo, Mark, see in the heat of battle there, when everything's going on round about you and you've got your head down and you're driving forward, see to look at where Jack Butland is and then pull that off. I still think, as much as it's a mistake, I still think that's really impressive from him.
He deserves huge credit, and it's the quality of player he is, because quality players will do that. They'll get their head up and they'll see the space and they can hit the target.
Because what do you do though from distance, from 25 yards?
Laces through it. Yeah, but Kyogo doesn't have that. But what did I say to you, Gordon, about Celtic, the difference? The incisive forward passing. So when Taylor wins it, I said what a pass, because he picks out Kyogo, and that's a killer pass.
And we called it earlier, Hugh. Celtic have given the ball away in this game as well, but Rangers can't punish Celtic the way that Celtic can punish Rangers.
But Butland must hate the sight of Kyogo.
Oh, I know.
When you think of the goal that Kyogo scored at Ibrox last season, then the one at Celtic Park where he spun and had the amazing shot, and here's another one. I still think Butland is not out of the woods with regard to Celtic's first goal as well.
I'd like to see that, Hugh. This is my worry here. This is my
Nicholas
worry here.
Kuhn leaves Jeffy behind. Jeffy does get back in. and then it's not a great pass across the face.
Rangers need to be careful here, or this could be a real sore one. They've really just got to settle down, try and get in at half time 2-0. Jack Butland, I have no idea what his positioning was there. I don't know if he was just overlooking it, you know, when Barron had in the right ad. Yeah, maybe over having a chat, see if Joe Hart's there. But what are you saying, Gordon? Kyogo looks up, sees the opportunity. That's brilliant striker play.
It didn't really make much sense, Mark. It's not like Jack Butland should have been over there. Like, you know, Rangers were on the attack.
No, it's clear a mistake from the goalkeeper. Goalkeepers, you always see when they do drills, they always get their angles right. They always know where the centre of the goal is to readjust if you give possession away. He's just got his angles all wrong. Lack of concentration or whatever. But it's no doubt an error. But again, you're right, Gordon. Don't take anything away from Kyogo, because the finish is precise. It's exactly where he wants it to be, and the only place he can score.
Celtic are in full flow here. I thought it was Jeffy, to be fair. It was Robin Proper who took a bit of a swipe. He missed anyway, but the groan you heard in here was because we thought maybe Jeffy had got it wrong and he would have been
Celtic
getting ready for the carbolic soap in the bath that you were speaking about yesterday.
It's there at Celtic. Celtic smell blood here, Gordon. No doubt about it.
Yeah, Alistair Johnston's in behind. And it's a brilliant clearance from John Souttar, because that was almost 3-0 Celtic, and it would certainly have been game over.
Well, how easy, once again. I mean, it takes a forward run from Alistair Johnston, a great little inside pass, but you've got to match that, McCausland. You've got to cut that out.
However, it's a heavy touch. James Tavernier so poor. Rangers looking to make something happen.
Well, Rangers
are all over the place here.
Rangers need the psychological lift of trying to get a goal back before half time, and also
I thought you were going to say the psychological lift of the half time whistle going.
But they certainly cannot even consider going 3 down. Otherwise, as Gordon Dale said earlier, this might get serious for
Is that Kyogo's 8th goal against Rangers since joining? Had one disallowed today as well, incidentally. But
well, as I said to you, Derby Day is Kyogo Day.
For all the players who were on the receiving end of the wrong end of that stat, you know, Chris Boyd or Alfredo Morelos for a while, it's a mini version over Dessers, but you know, he did score. But Gordon, to have a guy who does it in this fixture must just be such a weapon to have. Hold that thought though.
Nah, it's a poor pass.
Good intervention from Scales.
Just Mark, look, Celtic are really enjoying this, and you wouldn't be surprised if they were 3-0 up. But the one thing that just isn't quite going their way the way it usually does is Diomande is doing He's doing an okay job on Callum McGregor at times. That's about the third time he's taken it off him.
Look at this for a
However, Dies in Maeda, it was in behind, but he makes a mess of the cross.
I think you're right, Gordon. Diamante's doing his side of the bargain, I think, for the most part of it, and getting on top of McGregor sometimes, nicking the ball back, but it's just that final pass. But what he does do is he frees up the other couple, Hatate and Bernardo.
Sure, exactly.
touched on Bernardo. I think he's been very good in this opening 45.
Once again, Johnston makes a run and the winger doesn't go with him.
What a clearance.
It's a brilliant
John Souttar.
Kyogo
knows
there.
it. He knows he's about to just tap it in, and Souttar, it's sometimes harder to clear that because you can slice it under your own bar. But
this looks like a game Celtic are enjoying, and Rangers are desperate to get into half time.
Yeah, it does now, for sure.
Unbelievable.
And Mark, this is the thing. Now with hindsight, yes, that start, and you can't even get a thought out before Celtic sweep up the pitch, because Dies in Maeda, the space, space on the edge of the box. Bernardo chops back one way, then the other. Good save this time, Jack Butland. That possibly should have been 3.
I should have been 3.
When you think of what Celtic should be leading by in this half, I mean, if Celtic were leading 5-0, it wouldn't be a surprise.
That move there almost resembled a training drill where you're running against a back four and you're promoting numbers. Where's the Rangers midfield? Backtrack.
Paulo Bernardo had about 20 yards either side of him, all around him, to get a shot off Gordon. He probably should have just taken it first time, shouldn't he?
Yeah, I think I was quite happy with the fact that Rangers went with stronger midfield 3, but for me, they're chasing shadows. They're all over the place. They have no idea where Hatate, McGregor, Bernardo is. And also, when you look at that one ball, James Tavernier's an experienced fullback. He knows where that. You can see Taylor looking, thinking, I'm going to play this in behind you. You've got to try and drop off and give yourself a bit of space.
Yeah, I think we're reaching. Thought it was maybe a short pass. Kyogo tries to race in on Butland, but he does well to give it to Sterling, who goes back to John Souttar. Kyogo's just having a little stretch. Don't know if he's felt something uncomfortable. Of course, Celtic have Adam Ida, big money signing. Oh, it's
look at that.
Dreadful from Rangers. Just a really poor pass. They do get it back though. And can they find something just in the dying embers of this first half to make things look different? You remember last season, of course, Celtic went 2 up. There was the sending off, and we thought we were looking at a cricket score, and Rangers pulled one back. But no real sign of that so far. Another feature of the first half has been John Souttar's ability to carry it forward, and he might have just started something here. Alistair Johnson, he's too physical for Ross McCausland.
Yeah, that just looked like your dad taking you down the park and you try to beat him and he just says, listen son, this is my ball.
You and your dad do 1v1s down the park, didn't you? What an upbringing.
He was a good player.
Yeah, Dessers and Scales wrestling. It was a good battle actually.
Scales does well again there, because that's not easy. Come back towards your own goal like that.
It got quite open there. Celtic had another good opportunity, but I think it was Sterling who came across and defended well, and this will be the last chance of the half. Can Rangers muster anything? They've really not threatened Kasper Schmeichel's goal. James Tavernier tries to work it in, and it's not bad,
good
but
defending.
It's excellent defending from Greg Taylor. Just nudges Czerny out the way, and that will be the end, you would imagine, of the first half. And it is. Let's go to Celtic Park.
Celtic 2, Rangers 0, the half-time score. Maeda and Kyogo are regular tormentors of their rivals, and they're at it again today at Celtic Park. Philip Clement's side did look the better team in the opening 10 minutes or so. Celtic were sitting off. It allowed them to move the ball about well, get into some good areas. The big chance they created was when James Tavernier's cross met the head of Rabi Matondo, but he probably should have done better, headed it wide. He may well have been offside though. Despite Rangers' good start, Celtic could hurt them in an instant, and it looked that way 12 minutes in. A quick break, Nicholas Kuhn played down the right, the ball across was finished by Kyogo. Initially it was given, but ruled out for an offside in the build-up following a VAR check. Not long after that though, they did get their opener. Alistair Johnson played down to the byline, he cut the ball back. There was a slip at the front post from Robin Proper, and at the back post Daisen Maeda got in front of James Tavernier and provided the finish. At that point, Celtic then became the dominant side. They looked more dangerous, they tried to pick Rangers off at the right opportunity. Daisen Maeda flicked a header across the 6-yard box half an hour in, and a very similar chance as well from the opener when the ball was cut back to Maeda. This time his shot was blocked. Reo Hatate had space, but he fired over the bar. 5 minutes from the break, Kyogo was always going to make his mark, driving towards the box about 25 yards out. He almost just passed it into the bottom corner past Jack Butland, whose positioning wasn't great at all. Really good innovation from Kyogo to pick off that finish and make it 2-0 to Celtic. At that point they pushed for a third as well, almost got it a couple of times. John Souttar with a big clearance, and Jack Butland was forced to make a save from Paulo Bernardo as well. The hosts are in control at Celtic Park. The half-time score, Celtic 2, Rangers 0. Marvin Bartley, who's alongside me, it looked in the opening 10 minutes or so that it might be a real competitive game, but now Celtic are really well on top.
Yeah, Celtic went into overdrive and Rangers went in the other direction. As you said, the first 10 minutes, and the guys in the studio have spoken about it, the press was brilliant, and then the front players were going, the midfielders were backing them up, and the defensive line was nice and high on the halfway line. It's almost like Rangers began to tire and Celtic smelt blood, and then they just went after Rangers. The first goal was embarrassing. Matondo, we can see it here, being at Celtic Park, you can see exactly what's happening. Matondo can see exactly what Alistair Johnson wants to do, but he waits far too long to track him. If I'm Clement in there, I'll be absolutely raging, because it's so avoidable. It's just lazy. You know, it's a lack of appetite to do the hard yards. We spoke about it before the game. Play all the football you want to do, press as well as you want to do. If you're not willing to work hard against this Celtic team, you have no chance. And Matondo has cost his team with the first goal. The second goal, Czerny's got to be far stronger. Again, you're playing in a derby, you don't expect body contact. It's embarrassing. It's the only word I can use to describe it. And as good as Celtic have been, Rangers, some of the Rangers players are just not putting in the effort desired in this fixture.
Well, a big ovation as Joe Hart makes his way onto the pitch to do the half-time draw. It's the current Celtic players that are doing the job in this derby at the moment. The half-time score, Celtic 2, Rangers 0.
First for Celtic versus Rangers. This is Clyde One Super Scoreboard.
The city catches its breath after a first half in the East End of Glasgow. Celtic 2, Rangers 0 at the break. Marvin Bartley is in the stadium. We've got the three wise men, if you can call them that, in the studio. So let's go back and get Marvin's eyewitness take. Marvin, now knowing what we know, with the benefit of hindsight, it all seems very deliberate and calculated from Celtic, doesn't it? Fine, let Rangers start quick. We know they'll start quick, and we'll let them press us, and we'll be patient, and then we'll start to pick them off. That's how the half played out.
Yeah, that's exactly how it played out. And after 10 or 15 minutes, Brendan Rodgers might not have thought it was going to play out that way, because, as I said, Rangers started really, really well. And then it's just a lack of desire, Gordon. You know, nothing more than that. Alistair Johnson shows a desire of wanting to get forward, and Matondo shows a lack of desire and wanting to track him. And that's all it comes to. And I know Maeda scores at the back post, but it should have never got that far. Now, a player playing at this level in this game should understand that you have to work hard. And he wasn't willing to do so, and he's cost his team the first goal. And don't get me wrong, listen, Celtic have gone in total control now, and they'll find themselves unlucky to only be 2-0 at half-time. But even the second goal, Greg Taylor shows that he wants it more. You know, you can see the goals in this fixture by the other team showing that they want it more. Nothing to do with, you know, how they set up tactically, nothing to do with technical ability, just a desire to use their body and do the ugly side of the game. And that's what will upset Clement the most, but delight Brendan Rodgers, the flip side of it.
See, on that, and I'm sure lots of Rangers fans will agree with you and get annoyed at that, is there also a part though that better players think quicker and move quicker? I'm sure everyone wants to say that they're going to always track runners. You know, this could be Celtic against St Mirren, this could be Celtic against Hearts, but the better players do just seem to make these things happen quicker than their opponents.
Yeah, that's definitely the case. And listen, there's been a couple of times where Rangers have defended. We saw John Souttar robbed of the ball, and a couple of other times where Celtic have just, you know, reacted so quickly and won the ball. But these two occasions I'm talking about where the goal came from, you know, if you can't see that playing at this level, then there's a problem. You shouldn't be here. You know, it's that simple. And I don't just mean at Rangers playing against Celtic. I mean, you know, in the whole of the Premier League, because it's so obvious what's going to happen. You know, the player, you have 3 or 4 yards head start on them. They are coming towards you, and yet they end up 3 or 4 yards the other side of you, and you're defending your own goal. You know, Choney as a winger, with your back to the opposition's goal, you know there's going to be contact. So get your body in the way and draw a foul. The same thing that Celtic will do. And listen, even at 2-0 up, you see Maeda, the difference in mentality. He runs back 30, 40 yards to win the ball back from Rangers. But yet Rangers wingers won't work hard 10 or 15 yards to defend their own goal. For me, it's not an ability thing, Gordon. It's a mentality thing. And Celtic have shown it in abundance. They're better on the ball, but they're also working harder than Rangers. And how are you going to beat them if they're doing that? You know, you have to at least match them in terms of how hard they're working.
On a more positive footing, if you look at Celtic's part in it, how good is it if you're Brendan Rodgers or a Celtic fan, Marvin, to have players who can just consistently deliver in front of goal in this fixture?
Oh, it must be a joy. Honestly, it really must be a joy. As you said, players that are constantly willing to run in behind, constantly deliver on the big stage domestically. You know, it's absolutely fantastic for Brendan Rodgers. It's fantastic for their teammates, but, you know, most importantly for the supporters. You know, they know they're coming into this fixture. They expect from their players, and their players are delivering. You know, 2 brilliant goals from their point of view. And as I said, you know, I'll be amazed if Celtic don't score more goals in this second half.
Must be a real, like I say, depends what dressing room you're in, a real joy for Celtic and a real frustration for Rangers, Marvin, to know that it's all sort of calculated, if you like. For Rangers, you're thinking, right, let's get at them and let's have a go, because we can't sit back. But at the same time, Celtic are absolutely delighted if you can try and come and have a go and leave a bit of space in behind.
Yeah, listen, and as you said, you know, the Celtic players would be sitting in there in that dressing room and saying, we didn't start this game as well as we have the other games, but we're 2-0 up. So can we start the second half well and then really, you know, blow Rangers away? Because they have the ability to do so. And that's what they'll be talking about. They can go up another couple of levels. That's the worrying thing for Rangers and the rest of the league. Celtic have more. This is not the best I've seen Celtic play this season, but yet they're 2-0 up. From a Rangers point of view, you're just asking your teammates, run. Are you going to have my back when I'm out there? And as I said, Rangers were pressing at the top end, but then the midfielders, you know, stopped backing them up. Then the defenders stopped squeezing the line. So the distance from front to back became far too big. And the problem that Rangers were having was when Carter Vickers stepped in and played the ball forward, say to Kyogo, he was setting it back to McGregor, and then midfielders weren't tracking that. defenders weren't going with Kyogo. So as I said, Celtic will be absolutely delighted, and rightfully so, knowing that they've got more and they are 2-0 up. The flip side of it, Clement needs to really give some of those players a shake. And by the way, teammates need to be pulling people out now. They need to be calling each other out, because they're all out there together. If you think someone's not pulling their weight, you need to tell them.
See, when you look at the options, obviously we know Celtic's depth is deeper and all the rest of it. Andrew Maclean, are there any suggestions of any changes at the break?
Certainly not from a Celtic perspective. All 8 outfield substitutes are out there warming up. Oyami Sinisalo has been out there as well. When you look at it from a Rangers perspective, every single substitute was in the changing room for the first 5-10 minutes of half time, if we even got to that point. They've now making their way out onto the pitch at the moment, so Philip Clement will be making his decisions now, whether he is going to make changes. But certainly Marvin Bartley, when you look at the options, Celtic have Kyogo, who's scored a goal already today, and they've got £8.5 million potentially rising to £9.5 million. Adam Ida, who can come off the bench. Paulo Bernardo has performed very well in this game so far. Arne Engels, who cost £11 million, can come off the bench. Liam Scales has defended well today. Celtic have the £6 million Austin Trusty, who can come on for him as well. So Brendan Rodgers, when he looks behind him, when he's standing in the touchline, will feel very confident that not only can Celtic go on and win this game, but if he's going to go and make the changes, that they can really, really twist the knife.
Yeah, exactly that. Abundance of riches as he turns around and looks at his substitutes. And as you said, it might get to a point in this game where it becomes a little bit flat for Celtic, or they begin to tire. And the richest of players that he has behind him is fantastic, that can come on and make a difference. As you said, they've got 3 players that can potentially make their debut, but you've got Adam Ida, who's tried and tested, but even more tried and tested is James Forrest. So yeah, listen, he's got a lot of players behind him that can come and impact this game, and we'll be chomping at the bit, by the way. There's nothing better when your team's winning. You want to be out there and you want to be trying to impact the game also.
Yeah, you may be able to tell from the boos, first of all, that Rangers are out the tunnel. There's going to be no further changes from them. Of course, they have made that one change. Rabbi Matondo going down with a hamstring injury, tried to play on, was on for about 10 minutes, and then Ross McCausland came on for him. Rangers then followed by Celtic captain Callum McGregor out the tunnel first, followed by the rest of the Celtic team. They won't make any changes either, which comes as no surprise with the way they've been playing. But we were just talking during the break, Marvin, about maybe the attitude from some of the Rangers players right towards the end of the half. It looked so open for Celtic, it looked so easy for a lot of the players to get away and create space. Philip Clement will have had a big task to make sure those players are switched on right from the off.
Yeah, I think we've had a really strong word with them, because as you said, it looked far too easy for Celtic, because Celtic were just willing to run. They're willing to make those unselfish runs and go in behind and do everything else. They did the ugly side of the game ever so well, and then on the ball they're also fantastic. So yeah, it could be a long 45 minutes for Rangers unless they step it up.
Well, John Beaton looks at his whistle and looks at his watch, and sounds the whistle for the second half.
Clyde One Super Scoreboard Goal Flashes with M&D Green Pharmacy. Get advice on keeping infections and viruses away when school returns.
Well, for what it's worth, Hugh Keevins, your 2-2 prediction is still possible.
Halfway to being there we are.
Could be.
Yeah, heavy touch Cyril Dessers though.
The way I see it, Gordon, the second half is a credibility issue for Philippe Clement. If Celtic add to their score, and Brendan Rodgers, as Marvin Bartley alluded to, looks behind him and looks at the player who is the costliest in Celtic's history and decides to bring him on, Philippe Clement knows this Celtic side only gets stronger as the season progresses, because they've got people on the bench who cost £30 million to bring to the club in the summer. Philippe Clement cannot afford to take a sore one here at Celtic Park. It is terrifying for the Rangers supporters to think of how far they could be behind today. They're only 2 and they are getting off very lightly.
If there is any solace in this for the Rangers fans or Philippe Clement, Gordon, the one thing that has been missing from these head-to-heads over the last couple of seasons is that Celtic don't go and make it heavy when it looks like they could. We mentioned the stat yesterday. In the last 10 meetings, Celtic haven't beaten Rangers by more than 1 goal, and there have been loads of days when it looked like they might. And you go back to the final league meeting of last season here at Celtic Park, Celtic go 2-0 up, and it looks like it could be a cricket score, and there we go, here's Rangers, they're into the box. It's weak though, really weak. from Cyril Dessers.
He's got to be disappointed with that.
Dreadful finish.
He's got to be disappointed
Paulo
with
Bernardo's totally robbed by Ross McCausland.
Why doesn't he take another touch and get closer?
That's a huge chance.
Massive. That's not huge. It's massive chance. And for a guy,
it's huge and massive, not the same thing. No,
right?
If he was seriously going to do that,
yeah.
That's
well, depends where you are.
Massive.
Here comes Celtic though. It's not a great ball from Johnson, but Kuhn
That's
then
worse.
gets it all wrong straight at Jack Butland.
But getting back to, you're talking about a striker that's confident, he's scoring goals, he's waiting for that one chance. You know that you're not going to get a lot of chances today at Celtic Park. It comes to you. You have got to do better than that.
Yeah, as we were saying, Mark, that game at the end of last season, Celtic go 2-0 up. John Lundstrom sent off before half time. It finishes 2-1. Ibrox, Celtic are 2-0 up within 34 minutes. In fact, they're still 2-0 up in the 55th minute. Finishes 3-3. So I'm not saying that guarantees anything today, but it is the one thing that's been missing from this fixture, is where Celtic do kick on and make it really heavy.
I think Brendan Rodgers is a type of manager that might have reminded his side of that at half time, that their second half performances when they've got on what seems like easy street haven't been good enough.
And yet if he reminded them at half time, the first thing they do is give Dessers a real chance to score for Rangers. So that you have to worry that the assumptions, as I said, are being made. Complacency, they think the game's over. They have to show that in their minds they are able.
It's actually really good from Ross McCausland, Gordon, because even at his best, it's not something you think he's got in his locker, really, is that sort of physical tenacity. And he smashed through the back of Bernardo, took the ball, set up a chance for Dessers, but the finish wasn't there.
Yeah, Marv talks about it. It's all about desire in these games. It's all about getting out there. It doesn't matter, players are quicker thinkers than you look at Cherny, for instance. He's 26 years old. He's an international football player. He should know how to think quickly, especially against Greg Taylor. But it was good play from McCausland. But I've got to say, I'm a massive fan of him. Very disappointing Dessers.
And
that
there's
should have been 3
one again. But it's, honestly, see, if you watch Celtic games back this season, I don't know what they're doing to get him free, Mark, but Dies in my head at the front post is happening a lot. Yeah. And he's flicked one across the face.
You know what, I actually think it's an easy run for any striker to do. Just get across the front, but it's all about the ball. Getting on the money. Twice in this game, Maeda's got a cross and flicked it on.
But how many times do you need to...
it's brilliant. Really well done from Nicholas Kuhn down the right hand side. Bernardo's touch is loose, well defended, and Rangers do manage to get something semi-clear, but Carter Vickers,
there you go,
just holds off Dessers. He's so strong.
I'll put it another way. That's like Big Marv against Mark in the 60s. Right, he's just, see you later, Mark.
At least he did that legally. Well, Marv didn't he?
Did you see though, for the first time, it felt like the first time last week, there was a St Mirren player that sort of barged Carter Vickers off the ball. Was it Killian Phillips? And I remember at the time everyone around sort of looking at each other thinking that never happens. But it showed great strength there, and Rangers have a free kick midway inside their own half.
Just on that corner kick there, Kyogo, I criticised him for the first corner. He's staying too far out. He gets in at the back post, but he's maybe in just a bit too early that time.
Diamandi might just need to calm down. Although his shirt is ripped, he's making that point to John Beaton, but Rangers did get the foul, and now Diamandi's continuing his complaints when he's been booked, Hugh, and you can see John Beaton making that point to him.
Yeah, so he and Jeffy are on a tightrope here, because Jeffy has been sorely tried all day, but Celtic again giving the ball away.
Yeah, it's Callum McGregor who loses it to Diamandi for, I don't know, maybe the third or fourth time, and Diamandi takes another sore one. Free kick again.
Yeah, he's right up on McGregor anytime McGregor gets possession, or most times in Celtic's own half. He's certainly been given a job. I think it was just more careless that time from McGregor, trying just outside of the foot to Bernardo. But a chance for Rangers, and it's going to be Cherny. That outswinger to the back post worked in the first minute, remember? Proper round the back.
Yeah, proper round the back. Just over-egged the header a little bit. Got a bit of height in there, need a bit of quality.
It's another good ball. It's well defended from Alistair Johnson. Maeda's up, and it's a clearance from Cyril Dessers in front of goal. That's what it looked like.
It's in the middle of the 6-yard box, and it hits Dessers on the head and goes the opposite way.
Was it John Suter? Someone headed it towards goal, and then Dessers, like I say, almost cleared it back the way. Anyway, Rangers still have it on the attack. This is a much better period for them, as Cherny and there's a chance it's blocked, and then eventually Carter Vickers. Rangers really turning the screw a little bit.
What a chance for Suter. What a chance that is for him. He tries to open his foot up and just side foot it in the back of the net. He's got plenty of room there.
It's a good block from Scales.
Yeah,
actually, Suter does not too badly to get it on target. A couple of opportunities.
Sloppy start.
You really need to take them if you're Rangers. You get this many in the opening stages of the second period.
Sloppy start from Celtic.
Yeah, Tavernier corner. Can they make this pressure count? There's a slip from Kasper Schmeichel, but the header at the back post cannons off a Celtic defender, and Cyril Dessers is down in the box.
Well, Cyril Dessers, what an afternoon he's had. He ought to have had a couple of goals, but after all of the talk about him last week, Ross County 6-0, and the 5 goals in 5 games.
I actually think it might be a foul. Anyway, John Suter had sort of pushing.
But Dessers, when push gets to shove, has not delivered. But that's not to say that he won't before the end of the game. So Celtic have made a sloppy start to the second half.
Having said that,
I thought Rangers have made a good start to the second half.
But it's kind of the same as the first half, actually,
exactly.
when you think about it, isn't it?
Exactly. Now you're worried if Celtic are just going to kick into gear. But Rangers seem to do okay in these games when they're behind, because the pressure's off and they think the game's away from them. So yeah, I think as much as you say Celtic have made their sloppy, I think Rangers have come out and they've probably had a rollicking from Clement in the dressing room.
Here's Daisen Maeda, and he's going to get into the box if he fancies it. He's on the corner, he slides one down if Hatate stays on side.
Surely he's
and it's
not
so quick, it's just one straight ball from, it's just to be ran across the line. There we go, he's given it away, Rio Hatate. But Mark, it must be a tough mindset for these Rangers players. You know that you have to really go on the front foot to get yourself back in it, and you equally know that leaves lots of space in behind for Daisen Maeda and his pals.
Yeah, and it was Scales that time. The thing is about the Celtic players, you can trust everyone on the ball. They give it to Scales, he's out ball, but he clearly sees the space to play Maeda. And again, Tavernier, he's just giving himself too much to do, really.
Paulo Bernardo's having a good game, Hugh.
Yeah, I said to you first half, he's taken on the O'Reilly mantle, and he looks as if he's responded to that he's now the man.
Here's Maeda into the box again, but he does what he sometimes produces, which is a cross that goes behind the goal altogether. He just got his balance all wrong, because he was clearly in behind James Tavernier, who was nowhere to be seen. But it's a dreadful cross from Daisen Maeda.
He must wake up with nightmares, Tavernier, when he knows Maeda's in town.
I look at his position as a former fullback and think, you've got to know by this stage against this player, shut off the inside, let it go outside you. He continually allows that inside channel between him and the centre half to be open.
We've said it before, at what level is Daisen Maeda playing if he could cross it accurately every time?
He's not in Scotland, is he?
Yeah.
He's
but he would need to take Tavernier with him.
For the opposition.
That's a bit of an issue, that one. I think John Suter might be in some trouble here, because for the first time he's strode past Hatate a few times, but Hatate took it off him, and then Suter just hauled him to the ground. He's probably lucky, Mark, to not go into the book for that.
Yeah, I would say so. It's always a risk if you're a centre half, a ball playing centre half like that one of the opposition's going to read it. Hatate does well on that occasion, and you're right, might have just got a booting. He gets his body in well.
What saves him probably, and I'm not saying this is justified, is that Hatate's moving away from goal, so the
Should John Beaton have let that go with Maeda picking up that?
They're a schoolboy there.
Oh, Celtic players not happy with John Beaton, because they've taken the free kick quickly and they're in behind, and John Beaton pulls it back.
Do you know what? I would be angry as well, but how much has Rangers switched off there? 2 guys in the wall, and the player just runs round the wall. Incredible schoolboy defending from Rangers.
Tom Lawrence called over by Rangers to come on, but they've got defending to do from a set piece first. It's going to be a more traditional one into the box, you'd imagine. There's a few offside, there's a few that have strayed, but the thing is, Celtic don't even...
The communication again, and I think James Tavernier saying that.
But this is the point. This is where you've got to know. It might be frustrating. You've got to know the modern rules. Cyril Dessers is claiming for offside because there were Celtic players standing offside, but the ball goes nowhere near them. You're not getting a free kick for that nowadays.
You just wonder how Rangers are going to change this. Lawrence coming on,
one of the central ones, because it's not
is
worked,
it
has it?
Diamandi because of he's on the yellow?
I'd take Jeff Taylor off.
Oh really?
Put Sterling left back.
Now
To be fair, Mark, I do not think that's the worst shout you've ever come out with.
It's dreadful from Callum McGregor. He just passes it straight out of play.
I think it'll be Diamandi.
Yeah,
I'm going for
He's
him.
been effective though.
I know
It's
he
a
has.
risk, isn't it?
Well, let's see what he's got here.
I know what you're saying. Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
You're bang on. So is that
That's the guy that's
he's
been to
there.
finals.
But how hard's that then? Because you've obviously, if this was on effectiveness today, you're not taking him off.
I thought he's got about Callum McGregor fine.
But it's the disciplinary thing then,
Yeah.
presumably.
Yeah. Yeah, the last thing you need is being down to 10 men. I just wonder if Brendan Rodgers is thinking, Arna Engels.
I think you're more likely to see Ida or James Forrest first, aren't you?
See, to be fair, Hugh,
The
I know
midfield three's been
they
excellent.
want the big signing on, right? But Celtic just now, it's only 57. Their midfield's been excellent.
Yeah,
Who
well,
would you take off?
You wouldn't have trained with the team. I know it's all excitement and stuff, but
yeah, there's no need to rush him on. You know what I mean? Bernardo for me is having a terrific game. Hatate's such a threat. McGregor's a captain, he'll not take him off. I agree with you. If he makes changes, I think he'll be in the forward areas.
it's a nice position to be in because Nicholas Kuhn still very much looks in the mood. You wouldn't rush him off, but he might, it's often an area that gets changed quickly, isn't it? The wide areas, and he's not shy. And
But it's an interesting phase in the match because if Celtic go 3 up, it's carnival time. You can bring on anybody you like. But if Rangers score, then,
yeah, like we said, we've sort of seen that in this fixture over the last couple of seasons. Rangers do get one back, and they are a bit better when they look like they're out of the game, which I'm sure brings its own frustrations for the Rangers fans. But Jefty's been robbed, and this
great
could be
ball.
it. This could be it. Keogh goes through. He's 1-on-1, slight angle, dinks the goalkeeper, but misses. Huge chance. It would have been carnival time, as Hugh Keevins says, but it's actually a poor finish in the end from Keogh.
Magnificent pass, and by Kyogo's own very high standards, particularly in this fixture, that's a bad miss.
Yeah, I think Gordon is the striker. He's right to lift it over the keeper, but
I think he's a bit too casual, Gordon.
Yeah.
I've got to say, I think it's a terrific opportunity, but Rangers left back, it's a great ball. He doesn't even need to break stride. Look, I don't mind that. He's got it wrong. The idea was perfect, but he's just got it all
I think
wrong.
Mark, he's on his right foot and he's running at a slight angle away from Jack Butland's goal, so you expect him, if anything, to overcompensate and miss on the far post side. To chip the keeper and miss the near post side's it's a bit of a poor one.
Unlike him, execution poor. Usually gets that right on the money, but a great run. And Kuhn does well to force Jefty into that position. Hatate, great pass, great run for Kyogo, and it should be 3.
Oh, it's a thunderous challenge from Carter Vickers, the type that fans celebrate. He smashes the ball away and wipes out Dessers, but not to the extent where you're even questioning a foul.
Rangers have been second best at that all over the pitch.
Yeah.
They're getting,
Hugh,
out-muscled.
Can you believe it?
Yeah,
he's listened to you.
There you are.
Arnie Engels is going to come on. £11 million.
Yeah.
Had a late night on Friday night. Must have just met his teammates yesterday, but he's getting pitched straight into this.
I'll tell you why I thought Engels, because the start to the second half has been indifferent from Celtic, and Kyogo has summed it up with a dreadful miss. He should have scored off the best pass of the afternoon, and I think Engels then lifts the whole stadium and lifts it the players on the park.
Wonder which one comes off, Mark, though, because they're all doing particularly well. If anything, Callum McGregor's the least effective of the 3. Is that fair?
You don't take the captain off.
That's what I was going to say. He brings his own.
Yeah, I'm surprised at that. I think Hatate's been very good. I think Bernardo
Maybe Bernardo though, because he's not played that as much football.
Maybe
because he came off quite early last week, didn't he?
But I'm a big fan of Hatate. I would keep him on, but Brendan Rodgers continually took him off last season. I think he's at a different level this year. It's going to be interesting.
I think it's Bernardo all day.
Yeah. He's been
all
good
day.
though, Bernardo.
Yeah. I just think Bernardo's a terrific footballer. I think under Brendan Rodgers, this 5-year contract, he'll only get better.
Yeah, decent ball from James Tavernier. Dessers tumbled. McCausland, he's got his head in his hands, but in all honesty, it's a very difficult chance to take. It's not even really a chance, is it?
No, not for me. There's not a chance he was going to hit the target, especially try to take it with the side of your foot. If he's any chance at all, just put your laces through it and hope
Here
for
he
the
comes
best.
then. Arnie Ingles, Celtic's record transfer, is going to come on in place of Paulo Bernardo. £11 million from Augsburg. 20-year-old called into the Belgium squad for the first time this week as well. And what a stage, what a match to make your debut in, Mark Wilson.
Certainly is. He's got 30 minutes, so plenty of time to make a good impression and a good time to come into the game. Hugh's right, look at the crowd, everyone standing on their feet. It just gives Celtic that little jab I think they need at the
that's it exactly,
stage.
Mark. They were looking for fresh impetus, and if you can't get that off the costliest player in the club's history, then when can you get it? So Engels, if he has to carry a burden on his shoulders, first Old Firm game, etc, well, that comes with the price of the ticket. You're the costliest player in Celtic's history, so you need to go out there and justify your cost.
What a nice position to be in though, Gordon. It's not like he is going to carry this Matarelli burden on his own, because Paulo Bernardo was excellent for an hour there.
Yeah, and I think Bernardo will only get better. I think the two of them could push each other on.
Right,
Gordon.
here come Rangers. Can they set up a blockbuster finish to this game? Because they've offered very little, but there's a big chance and it just drifts past. It was not taken at all actually in the end. It was down the left side, flashed across. Czerny was in there. No one could really get any purchase on the ball. Jefty it was with the cross. McCausland missed it.
Oh, well, Jefty does well to get into that final third. He does well to cut it back. McCausland actually does well to hold his run, and he's got space. Czerny's coming in just behind him as well, and I don't think there's any conviction in the finish. He sort of just puts out his leg.
Yeah, hit and hope.
Yeah, hit and hope, and it hits off him and goes wide. But that's an opportunity for Rangers. Much better attacking threat.
It's sort of the best they've mustered in a long time, really, Hugh.
Yeah, Dessers had his moment at the start of the second half. The Celtic, as I say, have gone into an indifferent phase. They're trying Arne Engels to see if he can provide the additional impetus. But 2-0, plenty of time left. I mean, you couldn't say with all certainty where the game goes from here.
It's a good turn from Kyogo, but you always felt it was going to be ambitious for him. And Dujon Sterling,
Kyogo will be off shortly and Adam Mead will be on. That's my next prediction.
Well, that's an easy
one.
I
Probably right, Hugh. I think you're probably right. There's work to be done to get your 2-2 scoreline prediction up, but it is still possible. What did you go, Mark Wilson?
I went 3-1, so I'm still
in the
still
game.
In there. I'm still in the game.
Someone's quiet in the corner.
I didn't make one.
It's the man in blue, remember? Man in blue. And
look, I only tried to even up, didn't I?
It's just going to be a throw-in to Celtic right down in front of the dugouts. Round of applause from Philippe Clement. He at least likes the look of the effort and commitment there from Sterling, because there is an accusation as well that even that was lacking in the first half, which is it's like the worst thing you can be accused of, isn't it?
I think back to that Kyogo miss and add it to all that went on in the first half and think Celtic have really let Rangers off here. They ought
clear
to
chances.
That they should be ahead by an embarrassing margin, but it's not like that.
Yeah, Liam Scales does well, and then you just know Celtic, it's
They're
different. The setup's
movement.
different because Greg Taylor's then going to come in the pitch and give the option, which he did, and quick as a flash they're into the box, but Alistair Johnson's cross is cut out. Kuhn's enjoyed his afternoon as well so far, you'd have to say.
I think he's been excellent, Gordon. What a ball that
is. It's a great save.
So it is.
Great save, Jack Butland. If you want to pick holes in his first half performance, you are entitled, but that was excellent because it was a deflection. He didn't expect it and he had to dive down at his near post. Robin Propper almost putting into his own net.
It's a horrible ball to defend against. Good ball right across the face from Johnson. He's stretching towards his own goal. Good save from Butland.
The goalkeeper's done Propper a real favour, because that would have been his second own goal since joining Rangers, so he's really pulled his teammate out of a hole there.
Surely this corner is not going to be the same.
The Dyson Maeda run, it goes over everyone, it falls edge of the box, but it's a good block. I think was that Kuhn that managed to get the shot away.
Yeah, Lawrence
and
blocks
hurt
it, but he's
himself in
down
the
there.
process.
He took a real sore one. That's slack from Celtic to let it go out for a Rangers throw. There's nothing untoward. Kuhn hits it and then Lawrence just collides with him, but it's a heavy one for the Celtic winger.
Well, there's a yellow card there for Dessers for some reason. I don't know quite why. But he takes a knock. I think it's in the face.
I think it's for complaining. Yeah, Dessers, he has taken a knock in the face, but he's complained too much for the referee's liking.
Well, it was another good ball into the box from the corner kick. Celtic kept it alive, but better defending from Rangers. Lawrence getting his body across there. John Beaton not shy and handing out the yellow cards, is he, today?
Many's that, Gordon? We added them up.
Must be 4 or 5
Johnson
in there today.
Johnson, Diomande, Sterling,
Dessers,
Jeffy.
And Jeffy. Yeah.
That's 5.
Quite a few. It's not been a particularly dirty game.
Yeah, no.
I know we always look for that blood and thunder in this fixture, but it's not really had that today. That's good from Tavernier. He's had his critics, but that was a sort of old school, and then
no, he's fine.
A loose touch, but luckily Czerney's behind him. Yeah, and you can telegraphed from Czerney. Everybody, including Greg Taylor, knew where that pass was going. And Rangers just
be careful then. Oh,
I can't believe
that's. Is that a free kick to Celtic?
That's crazy from John Beaton. In the mind of the Celtic fans who really wanted the break up the pitch.
No, he's got to play on there.
Celtic
what is
were
the
away.
referee thinking there?
I think Tom Lawrence has gone into the book for a challenge on Arne Engels, but Celtic were away. Celtic had wriggled out. I don't know if he just
maybe blown too
sometimes
early.
You've got a touch of sympathy. It's just the heat of it, and you get caught up. And I don't know if he thought Maeda wasn't going to wriggle out or something, but yeah, Celtic were certainly away.
Well, referees are trained to let the play go on until it comes to a stop. That's incredible refereeing from John Beaton there.
Like he said,
dreadful.
Probably 1 or 2 bad mistakes. It's been a good game. We're not want to talk about the referees.
Well, we have to talk about them and they make a poor
it was
decision
a poor
like
decision,
that.
But listen, everybody makes poor decisions, Mark.
Yeah,
it's just that eagerness sometimes, isn't it, to come and try and calm down the situation and dish out the punishment when sometimes the football match can be raging on. But anyway, it was in a fairly inoffensive area of the pitch, although Celtic felt like they could turn it into an offensive one. Alistair Johnston's coming forward now. And it was almost great improvisation from Reo Hatate. Nearly nicked it round the corner for one of his teammates. 69 gone, Celtic 2, Rangers 0. Not turning into the route we thought it might at half time. Celtic have had their chances though.
Well, Celtic, at the end of the day, if you've had your chances and not taken them, that's your fault. They should be ahead by a tremendous margin, an almost record-breaking margin, but they just have not taken their chances. And the game, I submit.
Well, here goes Czerney towards the box, and he's thinking about wriggling, but he's just crowded out.
He's been poor. He's been poor today in every department for me.
This next period is important, Mark, because there's not a team in world football, even how comfortable you are within a game, who wants it to be 2-1.
Terrible pass,
heavy pass from Kyogo, and that Celtic should have really made Rangers pay there. They were 2-on-1 with about 50 yards to run into.
Yeah, it's just been slack when it gets to the final bit for Celtic in this second half.
I think he didn't even need to rush the pass. I think that's the problem. He probably could have waited and still pulled it off.
They had a 2v1 there. It's a great first touch round the corner to open things up for himself, and there's a lot of grass to be up there.
Yeah, I was saying, Mark, it doesn't matter how dominant you are, no one wants to go 2-1 at kind of 75 minutes. So Celtic are on the front foot trying to make sure it goes 3-0.
Now they've got a problem.
There's a lot of space.
Alistair Johnston is running in like a number 9 here, but Kyogo's use of the ball in those areas hasn't maybe been as effective as you would like. Kuhn might be next in the book. He's a nibble at Jeffy. Yep.
Yeah.
I'm with Hugh now. I think Brendan Rodgers probably seen enough Kyogo. He's been the last 10-15 minutes what you call slack. He's got any great position, great touch from him. He's got to take that on. He can
actually go himself.
Yeah, and cause problems. And Brendan, you can see the frustration in Brendan Rodgers.
Poor decision from the front man. Just needs to take it down, take it on, commit the defender, slip in,
or poor execution, because it wasn't
I suppose
it wasn't that hard
that
hard a pass really. But anyway, on we go. 71, still that 2-0 advantage, where the next goal drastically changes things in either direction.
Yeah,
as James Tavernier just looks to go long up the pitch. Rangers don't have that real pace in behind since Rabbi Matondo went off. He wasn't particularly effective at it either, but at least that's the the plan, and here he is, James Forrest, on a landmark day, Hugh Keevins.
Yeah, his 500th game for Celtic. His place in the club's history is assured. He has been trophy laden as a Celtic player. He had an Indian summer last season and helped Celtic across the line in terms of the league and the cup, getting a tremendous ovation from the Celtic supporters. Brendan Rodgers still looking for some fresh impetus to get that third goal and end this game as a contest, and he sends for James Forrest. Nicholas Kuhn has had a very good game, but it's an indication of the strength and depth that the manager has. Brings on Forrest, and the fans will be looking for him to mark his 500th appearance with something special as the goalkeeper puts the ball out the park.
Schmeichel there, just a bit casual. Don't know why he didn't roll it to scales. But Rangers now with a throw in, just level with the 18-yard box. Give it away so easy though.
When Celtic give them a straight back.
Has been scrappy, has been sloppy from both sides, I think.
Yeah, I totally agree with you.
But James Forrest, I mean, to get to 500 appearances for any club is remarkable. You think of the amount of consistency and dodging injuries, which he's actually had injuries, but to do it at Celtic and have trophy after trophy is an incredible achievement and well deserved. And he's still got lots to give. He wouldn't be on the pitch if Brendan Rodgers didn't think he still had, a lot to give going forward.
Yeah, I think back to what Marvin said at half time. He'd be very surprised if Celtic didn't score in the second half. Marvin must be very surprised.
Yeah, there is James Forrest, and he uses the ball so well, doesn't he? Even when he comes in the pitch, he rarely makes daft decisions. Gives it to Maeda. He's now at the edge of the box, thinks about the shot. James Forrest, well blocked though. Was it Sterling? And now Forrest popping up everywhere since he's come on. He's looking just to wriggle free outside the foot.
Is that a handball and a penalty?
Might be a penalty shout. There was the handball, and then someone tried to hit it goalwards, and then bodies tumbled.
Chance for Rangers there, the other side now.
But Rangers on the attack. Tom Lawrence, brilliant. Liam Scales, so good, and Kyogo all the way back with him.
That's incredible defending from
Celtic. Look at the space that both teams are getting. It's just an end-to-end game.
But Celtic don't have a striker because Kyogo ran all the way back to the edge of his own 18-yard box.
Well, touches on what Marvin was talking about at half time. The desire from your front players to work for the team is summed up there by Kyogo. But Scales, it makes a challenge, and Scales has been tremendous today. You look at the amount of aerial duels he's won, the amount of tackles he's won, even his use of the ball today has been better than it usually is.
How good would that be to have as a manager, Gordon? Because every player thinks they work hard. Don't you know what I mean? Every single player thinks they work hard and says they're going to work hard and is told to track back and all that stuff, but you just don't see that.
Oh, listen, it's absolutely.
Callum McGregor outside. Oh, what a finish!
Goal flashes with M&D Green Pharmacy.
Oh, it's Captain Fantastic for Celtic. He's making a real habit of that this season. Hibs, St Mirren and now Rangers add it to the list, and this might be the best of the lot. He strode forward, worked it onto that left boot. International retirement is working well for Callum McGregor, Hugh Keevins.
And how much will Steve Clarke look at that goal and think, oh boy, we'll miss him? But the captain knows what he's done. The captain knows that he has finished this game as a contest. The Celtic fans will be delighted, of course, to be 3 up, but know that they should be 6 or 7 up. And for my goodness,
wow,
what a finish!
What the composure when he gets there into the position to then move it again and start it outside Suter and curl it all the way in.
Oh, it takes a deflection. Do you know what? I did wonder, because I was thinking, Mark, see when you're running, and you guys can educate dafties like me in the technique, when you're running at pace forward like that, and the ball's in front of you, it's not usually easy to wrap your foot around it and curl it the way it did, but it is. There's a slight touch, and it spoils the aesthetic, but it doesn't spoil the feeling for Callum McGregor. And now it is party time, because this could become anything. And Luke McCowan is going to come on for a Celtic debut. How must he be feeling? You've lived that, Mark. What's he feeling?
Oh well, he must be pinching himself. He must think this is a dream to walk out that tunnel the other day and you see the expression, but it's different. Your debut against Rangers, 3-0 up, and you were playing against Hibs last week for Dundee at Easter Road. I mean, a whirlwind week.
Talk about fairy tales, Hugh. We always should leave room to remember that these guys are human. And what it must mean. He was, let's not forget, about just over a year ago, didn't get a start for Dundee. People I think forgetting that, but last season great, but he wasn't always even starting for Dundee.
He has the comfort of knowing not only that he's shown terrific form for Dundee and was their inspiration, but he has the comfort of knowing that Brendan Rodgers really rates him, because it was Brendan Rodgers who made the phone call to Luke McCowan, and after which Luke McCowan said, to use the cliche, he felt 10 feet tall, etc, etc. But the Celtic supporters also warm to a Celtic supporter signing for the club, and they like to see that. And at 3-0 up, it's glee time for Luke McCowan and for Ida, because anything could happen now. Rangers are sunk, and I come back to the most telling point of the afternoon from Rangers' point of view. This is game number 5 for Philippe Clement against Celtic, and it's getting worse instead of better. And Celtic are now delving into a substitutes bench which cost them £30 million to assemble. Celtic will get stronger as the season progresses. Rangers are in a position where
there's a chance Dessers is in behind. I think Celtic players are hoping a flag goes. It hasn't come yet. And Ross McCausland just flips one to the back post. Tavernier, good strike, good save.
Now there's the first save. First save Schmeichel's had to make as he signed for Celtic.
He must have been going, what's that?
That's a ball. He had that tame one from Dessers earlier, didn't he?
Yeah. But I've got to say, see the substitution, I just noticed as the ball gets cleared out, great touch from the captain McGregor. He goes over to him, he has a little word in his ear,
just McCowan.
Just to give him a little bit of encouragement. I've been there as a young 18-year-old, experienced players, it means so much to you.
Yeah, replaced Rio Hatate. And Celtic really enjoying this now. And Rangers, Conor Barron. Mark, I wonder if this is a Celtic fans doing the huddle in the stadium as well to sort of hammer home their dominance. I wonder if this is a sobering day. Even the so-called good things for Rangers this season, the bits that they were excited about, Conor Barron as an example. This is not meant to disrespect him, but there are levels here, and what the Rangers fans have seen from Barron and got excited about so far this season, this is a whole different kettle of fish.
Oh, without doubt, no doubt about it. He's been poor today alongside lots of other ones, but he's one that needs to get on the ball, make things happen, and he's not been able to. Celtic have just overrun him, overshadowed him, forced him into mistakes, and he'll reflect on this. I'm sure he'll come back better, but that just sums up Rangers as a team just now, miles off Celtic in every department.
If you go back to McGregor's goal there, McCausland and Barron get their lines mixed up and Celtic punish him. That's the difference. You're right, Gordon. Levels. I like Barron, right? But Barron will come off this pitch today and realise I have a long way to go to get to these levels here.
Yeah, and you don't want to be the Rangers players that come on at this stage, really, do you? But Robin Propper goes off for Balogun. An interesting one. Sterling off for Raskin, but Cherny off for Igmani, who we've not seen at all. We barely saw him training with the team. It was a real bone of contention for the Rangers fans. Philippe Clement was patient, said it was going to take a while for him to get up to the demands of first team football and so on. And I'm not sure many had in mind a debut 3-0 down with 10 minutes to go at Celtic Park, but there we are.
Well, he would have to make a gigantic leap, because when he arrived here, people inside Rangers said he's simply not ready for this level of football. And in the fourth game of the season, the biggest one of all, he's suddenly introduced.
They've got high hopes, though. That's the thing, Hugh. I mean, that's why the Rangers fans were frustrated. They paid a couple of £1 million and they hoped, because up until this point, I mean, what does this tell you about Danilo again? This is and it's nice actually from Igmani early on. That's good feet, and he sets Rangers away.
Yeah, it was good play for him to wriggle away. And here comes Dessers, got better. Carter Vickers. That's a great recovery though from Alistair Johnson.
Yeah, really well defended. Johnson and Carter Vickers between them.
Yeah, I think you make a great point there, Gordon. What is going on with Danilo?
Don't get me wrong, maybe the way Clement sees this and looking at Igmani's position, he's not a number 9 as such today, is he? So maybe that's why.
But Dessers hasn't had the greatest game. He could have easily swapped that over. Maybe changed up front.
Would you have made a triple substitution at this stage?
Well, you've nothing to lose. You have nothing to lose, Hugh.
But in the case of Propper, for example, I think it highlights the fact that the crowd are thinking he's hopeless.
Yeah, I would have probably taken 2 off and put 4 on to see if I could turn the game.
Yeah, Proper's an interesting one, an interesting substitution in that respect. You know, taking off a centre half to replace him with another
that you paid good money for.
I'm not sure about Proper. Might be going early, but I'm just not convinced from what I've saw from him.
Well, we said this is the challenge here. I know he was much maligned towards the end, and I'm not saying the time wasn't right, but when someone who's a mainstay like Connor Goldson goes, it's only good if the guy that replaces him is better. Time will tell. It probably is too early to know for sure, but that remains the challenge, doesn't it?
Yeah, it was a big test for him today, and it's a different challenge playing up against Kyogo. But let's be honest, he's been nowhere near Kyogo. Even when he's dropped deep and received the ball, nowhere near him. Shooter's the same as well. They really struggle, this Rangers back four, whoever it is, and Tavernier's the one constant in it. They really struggle to deal with Celtic's movement up front.
It is an unforgiving, relentless business, Hugh. The Celtic fans will quite simply want 4. I'm not saying they're unhappy, I'm sure they're delighted, but they really want this to have a glossy finish, which it could have.
Yeah, I think they'll know that this could have been 6 or 7 easily. Celtic have missed chances. I mean, the Kyogo missed is incredible.
Here's Nicholas Raskin from outside the box over the bar.
But I go back to the point about Philippe Clement. When you open the lines today, I think the first questions will be about Clement. What is he learning about this fixture? 5 derbies, no wins. This one, a sore one, could have been enough to cause panic in the ranks if Celtic had taken their chances. And the fans, I repeat, the Rangers manager who cannot beat Celtic cannot be the Rangers manager.
Leon Balogun comes across to take it away from Maeda, but it's dreadful from James Tavernier, and I don't know who he's blaming. He's pointing at something, but I think that was all on him if you look at it. Not seen a great deal of Adam Ida since he came on, but he comes back and links up on that occasion.
Tavernier's fond of that one when he gives it away, often a point to someone else instead of taking responsibility. There looks like there's another goal in this for Celtic.
You think so?
I think so.
I think it's a kind of showboat finish here, just to give the fans an extra reason to be cheerful. But I repeat, 3-0. If it had been 7-0, it would not have been a surprise.
A bit more patience from Celtic towards the end, just trying to work it into areas, and that's really poor from Greg Taylor, who's been excellent. He's used the ball so well today, but not on that occasion. It looked tired. It looked like the type of thing that might happen in the 84th minute. And maybe Rangers with a chance, but no, Kasper Schmeichel will collect.
They lack a bit of quality in the final third, Rangers, just now. I've got to say, some of the balls that they've played have been very, very slack indeed. I think the Rangers manager will be disappointed. Celtic are just levels above them. There's no doubt about that, and I think people will accept that just now. Hugh says about a Rangers manager can't beat Celtic. Let me tell you, it's very difficult just now, the way that they built their squad, the way they're playing football this season. It's going to be very difficult to overturn Celtic.
Slack.
Yeah, it was slack. Greg Taylor again, he's maybe a bit tired. We've given him all the praise in the world, but it's a couple towards the end, and he does, he looks a bit out of sorts. Corner to Rangers.
Bring on the boy from Barcelona then, and give the crowd another reason to be cheerful.
He is on the bench here. He is indeed. Yeah, you never know. Might see. It'll be a very late introduction anyway.
Yeah, but as I say, it's showboat time. There are 60,000 Celtic fans, no Rangers supporters. The Celtic fans just are in party mode.
Yeah, corner to Rangers. They've really not had much to cheer. There's a bit of nonsense in the box. I think Ross McCausland felt he took a dunt in the head from Daisen Maeda. John Beaton's going to try and sort it out.
Battle of the Blondies.
There's a lot of blonde hair kicking a bit in the pitch today.
Kasper Schmeichel
and McCown's.
We're scraping the barrel with that analysis. Let's move on. The corner comes in, it evades everyone, and you just know that if there's a race on,
McCown. You thought it was mine.
It's causing chaos. There'd be a similar frame as
it's
well.
It's like Romania.
He's had a couple of nice wee touches since he come on. Looks confident.
I think Arne Engels is probably thinking, is it like this all the time here?
Do you know something? I've not seen a lot of him.
He's been quiet, hasn't he?
Yeah, but I'll tell you what, I like the look. I just get a feeling for somebody right away, and I like the look.
That's why Andrew Maclean's there to keep us on our toes, pointing out that Celtic have used their 3 sub windows as it goes, so there will be no Alex Valle.
Right.
You like the look of Engels?
Yeah. Yeah, I like the way he goes
same
across.
way you like the look of Burnaby and
No, I like the way he goes across the ground. I think he covers the ground well.
yeah, I like that analysis.
If you say so.
Man, it looks at everything. His running style,
Everything.
His gait.
Yeah, the way he just goes about. He looks a top quality player. Of course, he's got to be. £11 million will probably say that.
It's a nice switch of play from John Souttar to Jeffrey, who then has it taken off his toes and needs to be careful. James Forrest again, we said it earlier, he uses it so well. He knows when to try and drive, and now that he's a wee bit older, Mark, he knows when to check and when to come back and when to just keep it.
Yeah, he must know as well that Jeffrey's pretty quick, so it just comes with experience as a winger, especially when you're 3-0 up. You know how to play the game.
Nice pass, Greg Taylor, but Balogun does well, stays close to Maeda. And
they're starting to hit those long, hopeful balls again, Rangers, and they're not going to get any success from that. I don't think there's an hour goal here, Mark.
The distances between Rangers backline there and the front line, and you could probably see that from about 17 minutes on when Celtic scored. They've been huge, and I do feel for Dessers sometimes. It doesn't help himself with the chances he misses, of course. The one at the start of the second half is crucial. You know, he had so much time, but then in the overall game, he's very rarely got support and anybody run about him.
Jack Butland and the Rangers players actually do well in the end. It's one of those heart and mouth moments if you're Philippe Clement, but they do come away with it, beating that Celtic press and all the way across to Tavernier.
Well, how do you assess Rangers' day? It's been another embarrassment for them against Celtic, and it looks as if things can only get worse as the season progresses. And that will be
Greg Taylor will go in the book. You would expect. Ross McCausland tried to knock it beyond them,
and we'll come back to the question of how much does Philippe Clement learn from these games, because no matter what he tries, does, tweaks, nothing works.
You wonder what he says after this game, Hugh, because he's obviously watching this like the rest of us, and nobody's kidding ourselves on. Rangers are miles behind just now. Miles behind.
Yeah.
And it's the only city that you can't admit that.
Exactly, and it's a very difficult one for him. And I think Marv's right. I think you've got to be disappointed with the lack of, desire to go and do the simple basic things of football. Track runners, going with your man, try and win your battle. Celtic are just, they're on a different scale from Rangers just now.
Dyson Maeda still battery powered, fouls James Tavernier.
Again, the work rate from him, 89th minute, but it was him that was pressing, wasn't it, for Callum McGregor's goal? It wins the ball back high up the pitch. He's incredible, an incredible team player.
Even at this stage, when Rangers are trying to muster something, the captain just passes the free kick straight in a straight line forward out the pitch.
I defend him every time someone comes on and criticises him. Let me tell you now, I will back them up. I think Tavernier since the start of the season has been absolutely woeful.
It's going to be a foul. Igmane on Alistair Johnson, who was trying to carry it up the pitch. Looks a powerful unit, Igmane, doesn't he? Just the build. Interesting to see what he can bring.
I think Clement needs him. He needs as many attacking options as he can get, because Daz touched on that. Going forward, they look weak. Dessers will score you goals, have given enough chances, but have they got enough either side?
Well, slack from Alistair Johnson, maybe the type of decision making you produce when you're 3-0 up, and he's gone down as well. Desser's just too strong for him on that occasion, but it's not going to come to anything.
There's no composure, there's no, even the support, everything about it, it's just hitting hope for me.
Yeah, I would agree with that. You look at Celtic, the way they play, the patterns of play, everyone knows where to move at certain times, where the ball is. That's his right. Rangers is get it up to Dessers and then he's flicking it on. There's no overlapping runs, no underlapping runs, lack of ideas.
If you're a Rangers fan watching this, there's just a sense
I don't think many will be.
No, not by this stage, but there is a sense of despair, because they're looking at the money Celtic are now spending and the depth of choice that they have, and once again, when it mattered, Dessers failed and Czerny failed. And Czerny looks a half decent player, but he failed, and Jeffrey has failed, and everywhere you look, the Rangers fans lose hope.
Well, I'll tell you, they're not looking. It's not like they're just focusing on the end of this game. The big blue bear has just tweeted to say, if Celtic don't get 10 in a row, I'd be surprised. Can't see a way through this rut. Shades of 16-17. I mean, we're only at was it 3? Something like that. Yeah, was it 2 Ange titles and 1 for Brendan Rodgers? But it's been that type of day, Hugh. You can see why the worry sets in if you're Rangers.
Yeah, see, we had fans on here, or one fan in particular, who said that there is no hope. And then we spoke about other games and how much could we read into the 6-0 against Ross County. And what we read into 6-0 against Ross County is nothing at all. Because on the
Alistair
big occasion,
Johnson,
I think it's Engels.
is it? I was going to say, because if it was Alistair Johnson, they'd be off. Certainly going to be a booking.
Yeah.
Arnie Engels over just brings down Igmani. Booked for his trouble.
You're talking big picture, and the big picture is that the season has started very, very poorly for Rangers, and 6-0 against Ross County was, and I'll say it, I'll laugh at once, an oasis in the desert.
Good strike, Igmani. Rangers might score a consolation. No, they won't. It's a good stop from Kasper Schmeichel. Igmani really caught it, and then McCausland on the rebound, and that might just sum up Rangers' day. Not good enough in either box.
Brilliant goalkeeping.
Yeah,
out quick, spread himself. That was a real opportunity for McCausland.
Adam Ida is going to chase this one in behind, but Suter always favourite to get there first. And don't forget, something a bit different for you this season on games like this, as we do midweek. When this finishes, you can watch us, if you're that way inclined, on the live stream. Once we start taking your calls, we will be on the live stream, YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, and you can keep an eye on what's going on. Tom Lawrence might be onto something for Rangers here. Not a chance. Straight into the arms of Kasper Schmeichel.
That is so frustrating if you're a Rangers manager. I know the game's gone, right? The game has gone, but when you get into those positions, a little bit of composure, a little bit of quality, right into the hands of the goalkeeper. Unbelievable.
It was from a cross, by the way, not a shot, but Kasper Schmeichel has it, and it'll be pretty much the last action. I'm sure he's watched this fixture from afar over the years, and he'll certainly have enjoyed his first taste of it. We're into the last 20 seconds of 4 minutes. It is a minimum, remember, so still time to make something happen, but not in a game-altering fashion, certainly.
No, I mean, look at to go back to Marvin's point about desire. Look at the desire on the faces of these Celtic players, still fighting for everything.
John Beaton thinks about it. The full-time whistle goes. Andrew Maclean and Marvin Bartley.
Celtic 3, Rangers 0. The full-time score. Another dominant afternoon for Celtic on Derby Day as they open up a 5-point gap on their rivals after just 4 league games played this season. In the opening stages, Celtic sat off Rangers, allowed them to have the ball. They didn't really manage to create too much from it. Celtic just waiting for their opponents, or waiting for their opportunity, I should say, to pounce. 12 minutes in, they thought they had their opener. Kyogo found the net from Nicholas Kuhn's cross, but VAR spotted that the winger was offside in the build-up. That gave them belief, and they got their goal 3 minutes later. Alistair Johnson played down to the byline, cut the ball back into the box. There was a slip at the front post from Robin Proper, and then at the back post, Dyson Maeda just nipping in front of James Tavernier and providing the finish to put Celtic ahead. Celtic then became the dominant side and got their second 5 minutes before the break. Kyogo 25 yards out, spotted Jack Butland, who was too far to his right hand side. Kyogo just side footing it almost like a pass past Jack Butland into the bottom corner. Celtic Park going absolutely crazy for that one. Jack Butland will be really disappointed with the role he played in that goal. The first big chance of the second half fell to Kyogo. A ball played through to him, one-on-one with Jack Butland at an angle, lifted it over the goalkeeper, but over the top of the bar this time as well. Butland then had to make a good save to stop Robin Proper from turning the ball into his own net, but he couldn't stop Callum McGregor's strike 15 minutes from time. Rangers robbed at the back. Callum McGregor cutting in about 25 yards out. A really, really nice strike. It may have taken a nick on the way through. He won't care though. They're cuddled into the top corner for 3-0. The Celtic players making their way around Celtic Park now, celebrating with the 60,000 fans that have stayed in here to show their appreciation. The full-time score, Celtic 3, Rangers 0, and Marvin Bartley. From the moment Celtic got their opener, this game was only going one way.
Yeah, Celtic have been in full control since then. I think maybe Rangers had a 10-minute spell in the second half, but listen, Celtic thoroughly deserved this victory, and Brendan Rodgers will be absolutely delighted. As I said, at times in the second half they became a little bit sloppy. on the ball, but off the ball they never gave up. Their players constantly running, working hard until the 94th minute, 3-0 up. When if anyone should have been maybe saying, I'm not going to track that runner, it was Celtic. But they didn't do that. They showed a massive desire to work hard and keep a clean sheet. Kasper Schmeichel's called into action a couple of times today and did things remarkably well. So, the clean sheet thoroughly deserved, 3-0 win, and Brendan and the players will be absolutely delighted, as will the fans.
Yeah, as I say, the supporters are still packed inside Celtic Park as the players make their way round. They're applauding. What a moment it'll be for the many new players that Celtic have in that team. Some of them coming on for debuts, getting a taste of what it could be like as a Celtic player going forward. A big performance from Celtic today. They sit top of the table once again, and Callum McGregor leading the charge. He has scored, he's taken his tally to 3 for the season, more than he scored last season, and Celtic will feel confident that they have a big season ahead. Brendan Rodgers hanging back, taking in the applause as well. These Celtic fans will party late into the night, I'm sure. The full-time score here at Celtic Park, Celtic 3, Rangers 0.
Yep, it's a big day for Celtic. Brendan Rodgers taking the applause of the crowd. I think he got everything right. For Philippe Clement, his opposite number at Ibrox, I think it's a worrying day, because Celtic won by 3-0. It could have been 7. Without any doubt, it could have been 6 or 7 for Celtic. This Rangers team is not good enough. This Celtic team, with £30 million worth of players on the subs bench, can only get stronger. Therefore, the immediate future, as it confronts Rangers and Celtic, is deeply worrying for Philippe Clement and those who follow Rangers.
Come on then, 0141 951 1025. This show was made for days like this, because one half of the city needs scraped off the ceiling and the other half can see no room for optimism. Give us all your thoughts, please, Celtic fans. How good was it? How dominant was it? Who was at the heart of it all? Can your team be stopped? Rangers fans, can you do the stopping anytime soon? What was bad about it? What didn't work? Is it the players? Is it Philippe Clement? Is it the overall standing of the clubs? Give us a call right now and we could get you lined up, and you'll be able to watch the phone in on the live stream as well. It's all coming up next.
After the action, it's your reaction. 0141 951 1025. Clyde One Super Scoreboard's open line. The Clyde One Super Scoreboard podcast.
With Luker's Land Rover. Looking to sell your Land Rover? Contact them today for a no-obligation quotation.
And she's off. The corner shop is in sight. The National Lottery sign is there, and she's heading right for it. Look at Rebecca. She's making a real difference just by playing the National Lottery. Her numbers help fund Team GB and Paralympics GB athletes, powering their journey to Paris, one ticket at a time. Oh, just look at her go! Unbelievable stuff! Changing lives like it's a walk to the shops.
The National Lottery, changing lives every day. Rules and procedures apply. Players must be 18 or over.
Meet Sage Copilot, your new AI productivity assistant, helping you add even more value to clients.
Copilot, create a 6-month forecast to share with my client.
So, if you're an accountant like Charlotte, it could mean spending more time on what matters most, like more face-to-face meetings with clients.
Latte for you, Americano for me.
Ah, lovely.
Accountants could save 3 days a month on admin. Search Sage Copilot to get early access today. Sage, helping business flow.
And she's off. The corner shop is in sight. The National Lottery sign is there, and she's heading right for it. Look at Rebecca. She's making a real difference just by playing the National Lottery. Her numbers help fund Team GB and Paralympics GB athletes, powering their journey to Paris, one ticket at a time. Oh, just look at her go! Unbelievable stuff! Changing lives like it's a walk to the shops.
The National Lottery, changing lives every day. Rules and procedures apply. Players must be 18 or over.
The Clyde One Super Scoreboard podcast.
With Luker's Jaguar. Looking to sell your Jaguar? Contact them today for a no-obligation quotation.
After the action, it's your reaction. 0141 951 1025. Clyde One Super Scoreboard's open line.
Hugh Keevins, Mark Wilson and Gordon Dale are in the studio. Marvin Bartley's still with us at Celtic Park, and we're about to reflect between now and 4 o'clock on an utterly convincing day for Celtic. Their derby dominance continues, and with a bit of comfort this time as well. So it's over to you. Celtic fans, how would you sum it up? What was good about it? Rangers fans, how would you sum it up? What was bad about it? It seems that simple, Gordon Dalziel.
Yeah, I think if you're in the Celtic camp, you're absolutely delighted this afternoon, Gordon. I thought they were, in terms of playing, their passing, movement, everything about them. I think Rangers got very lucky that it wasn't a lot more severe. If you're Philippe Clement, you're wondering how are you going to bridge that gap? Because let's be honest, it's a massive gap just now, and Celtic will only get better. You look at their bench, you look at the strength of the players that they can bring on. So it was a very good day for the Celtic supporters, players and everyone concerned, and it'll be interesting to know what the Rangers fans are actually thinking.
Yeah, it doesn't get any better. Philippe Clement's had 5 attempts at playing Celtic and has not won a game, and the gulf between them looks as if it's widening. It's not getting shorter. And I go back to the point that on the bench you had Adam Ida, you had Engels, you had McCowan, you had players who in total cost Celtic £30 million this summer. Therefore, from this distance it looks as if Celtic only gets stronger, and where Rangers go from here becomes a matter for conjecture.
I think analysing the game today, I think Celtic have just carried on the same vein as they have since day one of pre-season, taking in the American tour and the opening league games and the cup games. And I think Rangers were similar. I think the only anomaly for Rangers is that Ross County game where they looked clinical and looked a good side. But even in the victories that they've had this season, it's all disjointed, it's not been good enough, they've looked wide open at times, and I thought that followed suit today.
Yes, over to you. 01419511025. Whilst you get your calls in, Marvin Bartley, you witnessed it in person. It'll have calmed down slightly. Felt like we had a contest for about 10 minutes maybe, and then thereafter no such thing.
Yeah, the first 10 or 15 minutes I think there was definitely a contest, and then Celtic kind of found their way and Rangers lost theirs. Don't get me wrong, it's hard work when you are pressing Celtic and everyone has to move together, but it just seemed that Rangers, as soon as Celtic started to play through them, they lost belief in what they were doing, and Celtic got better and better as the half went on. And as the guys in the studio were saying, they probably find themselves unlucky to only be at 2-0. And then the second half, again, Rangers had maybe a 10-minute spell at the start of the second half, but they were toothless in front of goal for me. And I just felt that if Celtic needed to, they would have found another gear. I know it was 3-0, but I still think there was more to come from Celtic. On the ball, they made the sub. They got a few players a debut as well, and it was seamless. They came into the team and they started getting on the ball and they were getting the rotations right in the midfield. So fair play to the coaching staff who probably worked with them for 24 hours to get into the team, and they're already doing those sorts of things. But this Celtic team will get better. They'll get stronger, and as I said, that's the biggest worry because they're breathtaking at times today.
Yeah, and the worrying thing is, even as early as this, if you look at the league table, you're already 5 points behind. You're looking at a Celtic team, and Mark's right, it's only got to get better. Brendan Rodgers was very confident from pre-season. He told everybody the style of football, because he get criticised in the past about, it was boring, it's not the Ange Postecoglou. I don't think any Celtic fan now on this planet will say they don't enjoy watching this style of football. They've been absolutely breathtaking at times.
Okay, let's start on the phones then. Strap yourselves in for Billy, who's going to take us away. Billy, you're a Rangers fan. How do you feel after that?
Well, usual. I mean, the manager's hopeless, quite honestly. Clueless, got no shape. He's actually made the team worse. They slide Michael Beale. He sounds like Michael Beale because all he does is talk and there's no action. He didn't know the shape of his team. The players out there half fit. And basically playing Montongo out in the wing. They scored a couple of goals last week. I never seen it. It was on holiday. But he gives us nothing and basically causes a goal. And all it is, it's putting the track back. I mean,
so you think, there is a lot going on at Rangers. Obviously there's a lot going wrong, but you do put this one at the manager's door.
100%. The manager puts 11 players at the park. Look, the manager can change 11 players if he wants, the next week.
This is the problem. Yeah,
they change, they shape.
Billy is exactly representative of the supporters I thought would come on first of all, because it's 5 games against Celtic for Philippe Clement and no wins. And today, the subplot today is that Celtic won 3-0, But had they won 6 or 7-0, Billy would not have been surprised, and no one else would have been surprised. Celtic let Rangers off very, very lightly today, and therefore Philippe Clement comes under the microscope. It has to be that way. He has Manchester United to face, Tottenham Hotspur to face in European competition. Who knows what that could look like? But the worry is he's not even second place now. You've got Jimmy Heelan at Aberdeen, unbeaten, and the fight might be on for Rangers to finish second.
Marvin, having watched it today, how much of this can be put at Philippe Clement's door? What did he get wrong?
Yeah, as the manager, there's always going to be things put at your door. And as I said, the first 10 or 15 minutes, I think they were spot on with what they were doing. I watched them last season here against Celtic, and they looked disjointed in terms of their press, and it was a lot better this time. And then, as I said, as Celtic started to play through the lines, it was an appetite for the Rangers players to carry on doing it. And the first goal for me, you can't blame the manager for that. Matondo has to track his man. For me, it's just lazy, and maybe a strong word. But as a player, as I said, you're playing in this game, you have to track in any game. Actually, you have to track your opposite number, and he didn't do that. The second one, they don't take the body contact. So listen, Clement's going to get the blame, and rightfully so, because he is the manager. But some of these players need to have a long, hard look at themselves, because, as I said, it's not just about technical ability. It's about having that other side of it and willing to work hard. And if they need to know what that looks like, they need to watch the Celtic team, because every single Celtic player did it today, and only some of the Rangers players did it.
Billy, but see, when you're blaming the manager, is there a really sobering case to say that Celtic are just much better, and even a better manager than Philippe Clement might not be able to change this?
No, at the moment, aye. I mean, but at the end of the day, that does not have game. Keep it simple. You need to put players out there that spit. People's going to run. You put Matongo there, and I don't doubt there's a player there, but I've not seen it. They scored a couple of goals last week. I've never seen it myself. I was away again. I see, but you do backtrack. And we lose the first goal, they get chopped off. Then you lose the second one. It's the exact same move, doing the same side there. So it's up to the players and the manager to change it. And the only guy who can change it, the players are not doing it, is the manager.
But again, then, Gordon, that's the challenge. Fine, Billy's obviously right. Philippe Clement picked Rabbi Matondo. Who else is he going to pick?
Yeah, if you look at the difference between the two squads, it's massive, Gordon. Let's be honest about it. I was quite happy if I was looking at his team lineup from the start. He's went with a more solid three, and I think he was right to do that, so I'm not going to criticise him. But I think Marv's right. Sometimes as players, you've got to take responsibility. That's the easy part of the game, working hard, chasing runners, backtracking. Matondo, for me, I've always said it. I know he played against Ross County, scored 2, unlucky not to get man of the match. For me, he's an impact player. I think Rangers have got a few impact players, but the gulf between Rangers and Celtic just now is absolute massive, and I would be worried.
To clutch at straws, Barami is still to come in, but today I looked at Czerny, and I've really liked Czerny since he got here, but today he contributed nothing. Barron, the Rangers supporters have been very complimentary towards him. Today looked lost in the old firm environment.
I think this is hindsight, Gordon. Of course it is. But you say, who else does he play with Matondo? I think Philippe Clement had an opportunity to try and change the system, perhaps. But he keeps going with these two wingers, and one in Czerny and one in Matondo, and Dessers up front. Could there have been an argument to change to just a simple 3-5-2, and you match Celtic in the middle of the pitch, and you go width there, and you've got two up front?
I do get that, but usually, like the real criticism for managers is if they're blatantly picking the wrong players because there's better options there, or they're not getting a group of players to perform at the level that they should. But does Philippe Clement have that? Is that this team capable of much more?
A good group of players, but surely that needs to come back to the manager as well. He had an opportunity to recruit in the summer, and I know he had to shift a few, but he's got plenty in. Now that's on his watch, who he's brought in and what can fit his system and what can't.
I think to be fair, we shouldn't be too clever about it. We all said at the time they couldn't do that in one window, so we can't now pretend that you're kind of stuck with some players.
Well, he said 2 windows.
Rabbi, but the rebuild window in terms of moving all the experience out, trying to get the high earners off the wage and so on.
But if he thought Matondo wasn't good enough,
you were going to be left with.
Could he have brought in another? He made it clear that he was open to offers for Matondo, So he
So the
clearly
offer never
knew.
came then, that's what I mean. If he goes,
But
then
do you then bring a player in that position to challenge Matondo? I know he's got Cortez who's injured. Okay, there's nothing you can do about that. But again, I think it comes a lot down to the manager. He's been here a year. I wonder what the message is. Marv's touching about tracking back, matching your runners. It's a constant theme that runs through this Rangers
The
team.
manager can't shy away from the blame here, Gordon. And I totally understand what you're saying. If you look at that Celtic squad, man for man, they're a million times better. Yeah, I totally agree with that. But look at the style of play of Celtic, right?
You can see the
plan.
Yep.
See the plan. I'm sitting there going, I can't see the Rangers plan. Yeah, against Ross County last week, 6, and everybody's thinking, right, we can start to see it develop. But when you go up a level and you go to Celtic Park, you look at the movement from the middle of the park for Celtic today. You look at the front men's movement, full backs getting in and overlapping. Rangers didn't have that. Now, you can still work on that and make that better, and you can see progress. I don't see that with Rangers.
Marvin, is that something that jumped out being there? Is there still that lack of sort of a strategy, if you like?
Yeah, I think in the final third, Rangers are very much off the cuff. I think, Cherney is speaking about there, he needs runners off him, but he was getting the ball today, he was trying to go in 1v1s and he was losing the ball. I think, both the starting wingers and even McCausland, when he came on, I didn't really think they impacted the game an awful lot. And you look at the other end of the pitch, and like the lads are saying, that Celtic get it, and they've got underlaps, they've got overlaps, they've got midfield runners running forward. And we spoke about the centre of the park, before the game, and I think it's quite telling when Rangers are constantly playing a right back in Sterling or a centre half, centre of the park. It's constant. And listen, you can do that once or twice. People who played the game will tell you, playing out of position once or twice is okay. But you see, when you come to these big games and you're playing against actual centre midfielders, he does struggle. Don't get me wrong, he gets around and he does that side of it. But on the ball today, Rangers were giving up far too easily after 15 or 20 minutes.
Thank you very much to Billy, who is not happy at all, safe to say. What about Archie on the other line? Archie, sum up how that feels to be a Rangers fan watching that today.
Well, it's pretty good, Max. Do you know what? As much as I'm always disappointed when Celtic beat Rangers, before the game I've told all my Celtic Rangers fans that I fancied 4-1 to Celtic. I heard the boy with it last night before, the Celtic fans saying it would be 4-0 easy, and I was totally in agreement. I was speaking to the producer, I was trying to go in last night. See, after the United game, obviously after the Scotland break, there has to be a protest to get the board out. I think, for me, there has to be two spines. There has to be a strong board, a strong manager and a strong captain. And there has to be a strong central defender, central midfielder and centre forward. Rangers have no spine. The board are incapable of running Rangers. I think the manager, I said it when they gave him the contract to 2028 after winning a League Cup only. It's going to come back to haunt him. He's not proven at all. He talks a good game. And I want to put something to Gordon Dalziel today, because it's actually been annoying me for a long time. And maybe that's the reason why he's on that. He's not a manager now. And he continue. I want to ask him this. And I say I'm sick of listening to myself about Tavernier. And Marvin said it the other day about there's another 10 players. Right, I'm going to. Even somebody's a serial loser, bottler, can he defend? He doesn't even know where the man or the ball is. He's no heart. He gives the ball away constantly. He's just, there's nothing there. There's no leadership, no presence. And Gordon Dalziel says he's a fan. I want to know what is a fanny, because I've just mentioned all that stuff.
That was fan of.
Yeah,
I think.
Yeah. You sure? I think you've got it spot on.
Exactly. I think that described me very well there. Archie, I don't know if you listened to the programme today. I did mention the fact that, I defended Tavernier, but since the start of the season, I've no defence whatsoever. I thought he's been absolutely terrible off it. I thought he was very poor today. So, in my defence, you've got to listen to what I say. Yes, and days gone by, his numbers, everything he's achieved for Rangers in the sense of his goals and, assists and whatever you may add to that, I would always back him. But since the season started, he has been dreadful.
To address Archie's core point, which is the board and the governance of
there
the
must
club.
be a protest, he says.
Yeah. Now, first of all, they're playing away there at Tannadice, but the chairman of the club, John Bennett, has put £20 million into Rangers. This is none of his making. The team on the park, being as poor as it is, being so far behind Celtic as it is, the man's put in £20 million of his own money.
This is where these conversations, we end up going over the history. Everybody takes the blame, though, to be fair, when it's because the Rangers board, and well done for putting money in, they themselves would say, well, they gave Michael Beale a chequebook, and Philippe Clement is out this week saying that the historical wage issues for players that weren't contributing are part of the problem. So nobody's exempt from blame, really.
No, but they are a club in a trough. Rangers are in a trough of despair. They had the fiasco of the rebuilding work at Ibrox, which forced them to play some games at Hampden. But at its core, they've got a very ordinary, bordering on poor team. And the gulf between themselves and Celtic is getting wider and wider and wider. The lack of money available to be spent on players is becoming a bigger and bigger problem, while Celtic spend 30 million and still have tens of millions in the bank.
Let's go back to James Tavernier, Marvin, because it's been a long theme on this show, and this stuff about serial bottler or not being able to win things, that's a really difficult debate, because that's one man, and then what about the players round about him? And it's, we just go round in circles on it. Then you've got the factor that Gordon mentions about his goals and assists, and you think, how can you do without them? But are we in a different chapter of that argument? Because right now the goals and assists are not there, and it really does look like there's a lot about even these physical capabilities within the performance, or at least the sharpness, doesn't seem to be there.
Yeah, and defensively, Mark said about it earlier. James Tavernier has played against Maeda on numerous occasions, and it seems to me that he opens up that channel, passes inside shoulder to get in a foot race with a man who's faster than him. There was times today where you wanted him to narrow in, and as Mark said earlier, let the ball go to Maeda and then defend in a 1v1 situation. You might not tackle him, but you'll be able to delay what he's doing. But constantly he's going too tight to Maeda. There was no pressure on the ball, and they're sliding the ball inside of him. And as he said, physically, he's always going to struggle, because he's given away 2, 3, 4 yards in terms of pace, over a 10 or 15 yard sprint. So yeah, listen, James Tavernier needs to do better defensively 100%. We always knew that was a weakness within his game, but his positioning can definitely be better. And as you said, when you're not scoring, you're not assisting, then you're even looking even more at how he is defensively. But for me, the whole Rangers defensive line being here, they were in 2 or 3 different lines at times, and you're like, there's only 4 of you back there. There's no leadership. Proper was doing it at the start of the game. He was talking when Kyogo was coming off of him. But after 15 minutes, it's almost like they became too tired with it. And that's when Celtic really started to hurt them, because the back 4 of Rangers weren't moving at all. And Maeda again, scores a goal where James Tavernier potentially should do better. I just think defensively that they have to do a lot more, and obviously being the captain is always going to fall at his door first.
It just feels though, Mark, that right now there's a real debate to be had about performances, just performances, because we're not distracted by the numbers, and the stuff about leadership or trophy hauls can wait for another day. But right now, week on week, even though Rangers won last week and so on, it feels like there's a proper debate to be had about whether he's performing well enough to be in the team.
Without doubt. I mean, you're right, his numbers has probably gotten past that in recent seasons, where he scores a phenomenal amount of goals for a defender, and his set pieces have been on point and creates a lot of goals. But this season, it's clearly not been there. He's looked like he's struggling in possession. James Tavernier technically is outstanding on the ball, passing range, free kicks, corners, brilliant. Tactically, he looks all over the place just now, but psychologically, I mean, he looks like he cannot handle playing against Celtic, and I think that falls on the manager. That's a big decision. He's your captain, but I think you've got to assess how many games has he played, how many times has he struggled. Do we just keep doing the same thing again and again and hope
He's
for
struggled
a different
since
outcome?
the start of the season, Mark. It's not just Celtic.
Yeah,
you can
not
pinpoint
this season,
Celtic. Since the start of the season, James Tavernier has struggled and been very, very poor.
To make it specifically about Celtic for now, though, are Rangers at the stage where you do really have to think of something different on this day, and think he cannot go out there against Dalziel and Maeda. Now, whether that's a big statement, whether it hangs him out to dry, whatever it may be, change formation, put Dujon Sterling there's a new signing who can play right back. If it was the first, second, third time, Hugh, this is an ongoing rivalry which Dalziel and Maeda loves.
And that's why I asked the question in general terms. How many times does Philippe Clement need to look at games against Celtic and make the same mistakes over and over again.
What do you think, Marvin? Is that, and I get that it would be a big call, but there is no way James Tavernier, surely deep down, just does not want to keep facing Dyson Maeda.
Yes, it's a game. Listen, he'll never admit it being a player, but there's certain players you go up against and you fear them, and Maeda has to be the one, for James Tavernier. And we were speaking before the game, kind of off air, and we were saying that I actually thought that Rangers might change their shape today, because as Hugh said there, they can't keep on doing the same thing. You've got Sterling in there. Can you go to a back three and play him right of the three and maybe play Tavernier one higher up as a wing back? Because then it gives him that security that you've got someone behind him who's athletic, who can, potentially help deal with Maeda. But they keep doing the same things. And Brendan Rodgers must be rubbing his hands together. When he sees the teams come out and they line up on the pitch, Maeda must be rubbing his hands together thinking, right, get that ball in behind him, and Brendan Rodgers is doing the same. And listen, it's almost like it's 1-0 to Celtic before the game starts in terms of that battle, because I just don't see how they've tried to stop him today. Nothing's changed. They've not got pressure on the ball high enough. They've allowed Maeda to make those out-to-win runs. He's scored a goal today. And I know he's not the only attacker for Celtic that you need to watch, but I just think defensively it's almost like at times that some of these Rangers players, like the first time they'd seen Celtic, that they hadn't watched videos, like they hadn't played in previous games, and that's not acceptable.
Archie, you very much fearing the worst for this season?
Well, definitely. I mean, I was thinking about it today. I think Celtic will win by 15 to 20 points. I think a big part. I mean, again, humble pie. I said that I gave you an exclusive in January. I've slapped my face. That Tavernier, the deal was done going to Saudi, because his wife goes to a friend of mine shop every week, and she was shouting about it. But I just think his heart's not in his. I think he thought he was going to do I think they're going to win easy, 15 to 20 points. But I know Marvin said it, and Gordon said it. It's been put to me a few times. Who do you have as captain? Well, I would have Big Butland, and what about the other 10 players?
What about Butland's positioning for the second goal?
No matter how good another team is, see when you're a leader, especially a Rangers or Celtic, you're leading, you're driving a team forward no matter what. You've got presence, you've got proper leadership. You've got that boy. For me, he must have joined the Masons, right? I don't know how a manager, right, can keep him year after year. He's no presence whatsoever. He's no leadership skills. He's nothing like a Rangers captain that anybody knows. Right?
And I get these accusations, and well, part of that. I don't get all that accusation in there for what it's worth, but but the leadership bit and who wears the armband. But Gordon, it feels like right now, more importantly is he defending well enough for the team? Is he attacking well enough for the team? This stuff about leadership's a bit more. If Jack Butland wears the armband today, the Rangers win that game. No, you wouldn't say so.
His overall play defensively and going forward, which is very strong. His delivery, free kicks, set plays, he's been poor. He's off it. Do you know something? I totally agree with Archie in this, right? He looks an unhappy player to me. He looks a player that, see if you took him out of the team, I think he would quite like that in the sense.
Well, it must take its toll, because after he's been here ages, Mark, and he's had the second best for ages, managed to get to a point where Rangers started winning some things, then back to second best, lots of accusations that it's your fault. He's had a crack at Champions League, he's kind of ticked a lot of the boxes. In his heart of hearts, do you think he believes he can captain Rangers to winning the title this season?
Well, he's got to have doubts.
And if he doesn't, well, that must be a really bad mindset to be in.
Yeah, of course. He must doubt it, and he looks like he's got a lot on his shoulders at the minute in his own personal performances, and that's a decision that sometimes a manager then has to be strong and take. But there's no doubt about it, he's way off the mark at the minute, and he's got to be judged the same as every other player. You cannot survive on your history of what you've achieved in the past.
It's a good time to call, and don't forget we are on the live stream as well, just like we are during the week. If you want to see the happy little faces of Gordon Dalziel, Mark Wilson and Hugh Keevins, YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, and of course wherever you normally listen, give us a call right now and we'll try and get you on next. Clyde One Super Scoreboard is brought to you by NordVPN. Let's be honest, we all want to enjoy a more private and secure internet, especially Gordon Dalziel, while having access to more content from around the world. With just one click, NordVPN can switch your virtual location to a country showing your favourite team whose game isn't being televised at home, so you don't have to miss out. Not only can you virtually teleport your devices around the world, but you can also block malicious websites and stop web trackers, giving you great great peace of mind. One NordVPN account now covers 10 devices, so to get the best discount off your NordVPN plan, go to nordvpn.com/SuperScoreboard. This link will give you 4 extra months on their 2-year plan. We've added the link to the podcast description as well. There's no risk with Nord's 30-day money-back guarantee. Terms and conditions apply, and check streaming service terms before use. Honestly, you'll be in safe hands. Think of it like Neuer, Alisson, Donnarumma, Buffon. Safe hands indeed. Now, right, let's get back to the podcast.
And she's off. The corner shop is in sight. The National Lottery sign is there, and she's heading right for it. Look at Rebecca. She's making a real difference just by playing the National Lottery. Her numbers help fund Team GB and Paralympics GB athletes, powering their journey to Paris, one ticket at a time. Oh, just look at her go. Unbelievable stuff. Changing lives like it's a walk to the shops.
The National Lottery, changing lives every day. Rules and procedures apply. Players must be 18 or over.
Meet Sage Copilot, your new AI productivity assistant that automates tasks to keep your business running smoothly.
Copilot, help me pay my suppliers this week.
So, if you're a barber like Alfie, it could mean spending more time on what really matters, like more back and sides for his customers.
Oh, perfect. Cheers, Alfie.
Small businesses could save 4 days a month on financial admin. Search Sage Copilot to get early access today. Sage, helping business flow.
This season, stream Sky Sports on Now.
Players are ready, and now we're off. What a nutmeg! Now he must score!
Now how has he missed that? Now that was defo a pen!
Now the ref's got to send him off! Now that must be the match winner!
Head to nowtv.com and stream Sky Sports with no contract.
Now that is world class!
18 plus, UK only, 6-month saver option also available.
The games are over. The talking begins. 0141 951 1025. Clyde One Super Scoreboard's open line.
Marvin Bartley's at Celtic Park. Hugh Keevins, Mark Wilson and Gordon Dale are in the studio, and you can watch us on the live stream as well as listen to us between now and 4 o'clock. We're taking all your thoughts on where it went right for Celtic, where it went wrong for Rangers, everything in between. Let's keep going with Jim, who's a Rangers fan in Rotherglen. Sum up your feelings for us, Jim.
How you doing, boys? Where do you start? I hate to admit it, but I do think Rangers, as a club in whole, especially at Parkhead, is a team that's beat before we even leave the tunnel anymore. That wasn't even competitive today. That was 3 going on 6 or 7. Now, there's an element of Rangers now from the top to the bottom. It just reeks a second best. And I put an element of the support in that as well, because if we get beat 1-0 today, there'd have been a good group of Rangers fans that says, well, at least we didn't get hammered. That would have been the acceptable. That's the benchmark now. There's no leadership at the top. There's no leadership on the park. There's no leadership for the bench. The club is in a complete and utter mess from top to bottom. And I honestly don't know where we go. I really don't.
It's hard to argue with Jim. I've said the club as a whole is in a trough of despair. The board haven't got things right. No matter how much money they've put in, and in a well-meaning fashion, they haven't got things right. They've appointed wrong managers. They've paid players too much money. They can't get rid of those players because they're on exotic contracts. Now they have Philippe Clement. And Philippe Clement can't get it right against Celtic. And if you can't do that, then you don't win the league. And he has brought in players now who have to come good for him. He has rejected Yanis Hadji. Now, I'm not saying that Yanis Hadji changes the course of the game today, but the fans are saying, he's a decent player. Why can't you don't rate him at all? And it's calling Clement's judgment into question. And the fans who've been on so far are quite right in one other sense. The Rangers players don't believe they can beat Celtic. Barron was lost in the atmosphere. Czerny didn't respond at all. The captain had a nightmare. The goalkeeper even had a nightmare. So they are in a bad place. And finishing above Celtic might not become their number one target. Finishing above Aberdeen might become their target.
The trough that Hugh speaks of feels like a deep one, Gordon, because we are all brought up, and some of you have experienced it a lot longer than me, that second is nowhere in Glasgow and all that sort of stuff. What do you do then, though, when you are definitely second best, and there is no real likelihood that changes anytime soon. How do those two coexist?
I totally agree with Jim. I think he summed it up perfectly well. How you address it now, I've no idea what Rangers are going to do. Gordon, every Rangers fan out there, look, 90% of them probably were sitting today knowing that Celtic were going to win that game, unless Celtic were totally off it. As a team, I think Rangers look ordinary. I've not been impressed with their manager. I'm going to put my hand up and say that. I think he's come in, he's talked to talk, and I've liked what he's had to say. But I watched that game today. Have Celtic get better players? 100%. That doesn't guarantee you're going to win the game, right? And he's probably won it comfortably and should have won it by a lot more. There's no style there. I'm looking at a manager of Brendan Rodgers, and you can see they've been working in the training ground. They're passing, moving, overlapping, everything that goes a modern day football team. I think Marvin Bartley summed it up brilliantly. When you get in the final third with Rangers, they play off the cuff. They hope for something to happen. It's okay doing that Hampden against Ross County, but when you come up against the quality Celtic, you've got to have something different. This manager doesn't seem to have that. Look, I agreed with him the fact that if he was going to go with the same formation today with the three in the middle of the park, go a little bit stronger, try and get at Celtic, you know what's going to happen. But there's nothing, no signs there, Gordon, for me that would encourage you if you're a Rangers fan.
You can see why some people see it as mission impossible, Mark, because of the finances and so on, and then Celtic have that winning mentality. Second best maybe is ingrained at Rangers. So I know how they're trying to address it. Philippe Clement's mentioned it. Sometimes hear it from board members or whatever. They're trying to make up for it by getting what they call young, hungry players, because it's the only way that they're just not going to be able to outbid Celtic for players. So they're trying to change the squad. They're trying to make it young, hungry players. Diamande, Barron, Jefty, etc. But again, if they're just not as good as Celtic's players, how do you get them out of this acceptance of second best that Jim mentioned?
Well, there's got to be a definitive identity. I think that's the point Daz is touching on. So if you've got players of lesser ability than your rivals, you've got to have every one of those players buying into your principle, your idea, your plan, and you've got to be able to visually see it. And the fans, we've been going on about it for weeks, the fans come on here and say their piece as well. The fans have got to be able to see it. They can see exactly what they're doing. I don't think Rangers have had that under Philippe Clement. I think it's a bit like Daz says and Marv says. In the forward areas, it's off the cuff. Defensively, I think they're too open. What are they? Are they a long ball team? Are they a counter-attacking team? Are they a possession-based team? Are they a high-pressing team? I don't know. Because you see it in flashes against Ross County where you can pick wee bits. But when it comes to the tougher games,
just quickly, know the difference here, right? I'm looking at Brendan Rodgers on the screen here. Brendan Rodgers turned Mark O'Reilly into a £30 million football player, right? And he takes a lot of credit for that. They bought him in for what, 1.5 million. I know it's but he worked with them, changed everything about him, and look what happened. Clement will not do that with any of the Rangers squad. I don't care how young they are.
Jim, where did it go wrong specifically today then, if you like? Let's talk about the game itself. What did you not like?
Just everybody's points there are actually bang on. But see, I reckon Clement has not learned a thing in 5 games against Celtic. I don't think he knows how to be. He's not signed players. There's no structure. We've not signed anybody that he can. You would be confident of going to Parkhead today. You know, there's no structure. I don't know. I think it was Mark mentioned. I don't know for a long ball. There was no shape. We started off 10 minutes with a bit of pressing. We had the warming shot of losing the goal, and then 5 minutes later you go 1 down. And for that moment, game's done. It's keeping it to a low score as best you can. But there's no conviction. There's nothing. There's no winning mentality at all within that team. And I reckon Clement, 4.5 million for Diamande, in my opinion, is nuts. I think he's worse than a £50,000 Glenn Kamara. So the money he's spent on players as well, I just don't see what he's doing as a manager. I would actually love to see us getting Derek McInnes in as best we could and just go back to old school, basic Scottish, get his organised, get his hard to beat, bring in players and build for there, and because it's worrying. It is worrying.
In a city like this, with a rivalry like this,
The worst problem you can have is when fans lose belief in the manager. And I think the Rangers supporters are gradually losing belief in Philippe Clement.
Let's make it again about today with Marvin, who was there. You know, Jim says, Marvin, about not learning lessons, and I'm sure there were elements of that. But how, what's the word, how soul-destroying must it be for Philippe Clement? Because he did try something different at the start. Rangers press was better, it was more aggressive, and then as the game goes on, you all realise that Celtic sort of saw this coming and knew they could get out of it anyway.
Yeah, listen, Celtic began to work their way out of it, but I still go back to the first goal. Up until the first goal, I know there had been one disallowed, but with the offside, I think it was for Kun. But up until the first goal, Rangers doing absolutely fine. And then it comes to the point where you don't track your man. So going about shape, going about what we do on the ball, off the ball, if you aren't going to run after somebody, then you can't win games of football. And it seems to me, watching this Rangers team, there's too many within the team now that are maybe playing at the pinnacle of their career. So Rangers is the top for them. Whereas you look at the Celtic team, you can talk about Carter Vickers, you can talk about McGregor. I know he's getting on a little bit now, but the players they've brought in, they're probably looking at us thinking, we can do really, really well for Celtic, but I reckon I can go to the next level. How many of those players out there for Rangers think that? How many of them are thinking they've won the lottery and they're actually lucky to be at Rangers? You can't win enough with players like that. Matondo, listen, I'm talking about him going back one way, tracking Alistair Johnson. Even going forward, he's got pace and abundance. Alistair Johnson tackled him once and it was almost like he lost confidence. I don't want to run forward anymore. Then he goes down with his hamstring. Then 15 minutes later he comes off. He makes a mistake for the first goal. How many Rangers players said anything to him? Not one. McCausland came on. Johnson ran off the back of him. Not a Rangers player said a single word. You have to dig people out. Like, you can't keep accepting this. You can't keep losing games of football, losing sloppy goals and not saying anything to each other. I don't care what you say in the dressing room. Out there on the pitch, let people know that it's not acceptable. But it seems like, do you know what? We're going to lose another goal. We're going to lose another game. Oh, it's fine. We'll win next week because we're playing a lesser team. No, it's not acceptable what they're doing. And the longer they continue like that and Celtic going the way they're going, I can't see them getting even close to them.
This fixture will expose your flaws, obviously. It's the toughest test. And we did see that. Hugh mentioned before. So far, it's all kind of been rosy for Václav Černý. Not played loads, but Rangers fans like what they see. They think he's a definite upgrade, and he may well still turn out to be. But he's on his heels. He's not got the same desire as Greg Taylor, who just runs in front of him and ends up in the back of the net. So you'll learn a lot, I guess, on days like this.
I think a few Rangers players get caught out today. Everybody was praising Young Barn. I think Young Barn was running about like a headless chicken at times. Celtic were just playing through him. Černý is, for me, a disgrace for that, because it doesn't matter. It's Greg Taylor. You've got to have the desire to get in there, put your body in. He's a 26-year-old international footballer. They didn't live up to their reputations. I do worry for Rangers in the fact of just looking at their overall squad. Yes, it's easy to beat Ross County, but there was a lot of them out there today. Just for me, looked very average indeed.
Thank you very much to Jim. Let's bring in Gerard. Gerard, you're a Celtic fan. Quite often it's the angry losing side that will shout the loudest, so let's give your team the credit that it's due. What impressed you today?
How good was Paulo Bernardo? Honestly, high panel anyway. I'm just ecstatic. On my way home from the game just now, my lovely wife, she picked me up and dropped me off, and now we're driving home, so
that's what you're looking for, a wee taxi service. Yeah. That's what that is magnificent, that is, I have to say.
You don't know me better as Jiggy for Renton, actually.
Oh, well. Oh, Jiggy. How
Jiggy.
are you?
He's in the Marvin,
Gordon, how you doing?
you saw Paulo Bernardo up close, and it's going to be, it's so easy to lean into that, no Matt O'Reilly, no problem sort of thing, but I guess it was part of the story today.
Yeah, it was part of the story, and listen, there's always going to be pressure on anyone that's trying to replace Matt O'Reilly because he was fantastic for Celtic. But I agree with Gerard there in terms of Bernardo came in and it was seamless. It's been seamless the last two games, but today he really stood out. His quality on the ball was absolutely brilliant. He constantly wanted to get on it, going into wide positions and playing forward when he could, blocking the gaps when he had to. His all-round game today was absolutely excellent, and I know he ended up coming off because I just think he ran out of steam towards the end of it. But if you're a Celtic fan and you're watching him, you are absolutely delighted because he looks a better player now than he did look last season, and maybe that's because he knows that place is potentially up for grabs. But yeah, his all-round game today was excellent.
The story was twofold for Paulo Bernardo. O'Reilly has gone, and Bernardo was enjoying the fact that he was first pick for the day. However, in the background is someone who has cost Celtic a club record fee. So he has Arne Engels to contend with as well. But Gerard's right. From the word go, he was at it, bang at it. And in fact, I think he saw the big finish, and he was over-elaborate with the chance that he had and did not take. He could have scored a wonderful goal, but he certainly rose to the occasion, and that's the whole thing about Celtic and Rangers right now. Paulo Bernardo is a class above anything Rangers have. O'Reilly was 2 classes above anything Rangers have.
And Bernardo might be the 4th choice midfielder in the fullness of time.
Yeah,
Is
exactly.
that
That's why I say the season can only go from strength to strength from Celtic on a domestic basis. Right now, everyone at Rangers, from the chairman to McCausland, everyone is being questioned. And they're being questioned because they do not have the ability to equal Celtic.
How much improved do you think Celtic look from last season, Gerard?
Well, it's, honestly, I didn't even notice Matt O'Reilly wasn't there. And I'll be honest, I thought Hatate had a poor maybe 60 minutes, to be honest. And Bernardo was working his crap, filling in and pulling out. But now, see when you look, that's why Man City rumoured to be in for Kyogo. That movement is absolutely outstanding, off the shoulder, outstanding. It's just unbelievable.
Yeah, what more do you...
Young dazzler, isn't he?
Oh, geez, steady.
Oh, well
steady.
done, son, well done.
I didn't know you were in hospitality at the game, Gerard. You let that one slip. Marvin, Kyogo, don't know, tell me something new. Tell me something you've not said about him so far.
I wish I could. Again, I agree with his movement up at the top end was brilliant. Willing to run in behind. Then he was taking the Rangers players, defenders long to come short. He was doing absolutely everything, linking it all up for Celtic. And then I said, I'm one of those. In the 73rd minute, I think it was, when he runs back and makes that tackle when they're being counter-attacked. It's unbelievable. That's probably the highest pace that he hit during the whole game. And he runs back 70 or 80 yards. And yes, he didn't make the tackle because he ends up putting pressure on, I think it's Scales who makes the tackle. But then from that, he gets the ball, he plays it forward, and then McGregor ends up scoring at the end of it. And that's the thing that some fans might miss. Yes, he's brilliant in and around the box. Yes, he gets his goal. Yes, he links the play up, but he's still willing to do that at 2-0. That's a centre forward. That's what will tell you. You're well within your rights. I've scored, mate. I'm going to stand up here. One of you boys go and get the ball back. But he's willing to do that, and that just shows, the team spirit at Celtic at this moment in time is absolutely brilliant. And listen, that's why everyone's waxing lyrical about them.
But how hard is that to get, Mark? I said it during the game. It's not like every player thinks they work hard, I'm sure. Well, apart from him in the 90s, right? I'm talking about. He's not even listening. He's just dreaming off in the corner.
Sorry, I'm just watching what's going on.
Every player thinks they work hard, and every manager says that he expects their players to work hard. Everybody, at every level. But hardly anybody does what Kyogo does there. So how do you bottle that?
Well, he's a different level. It's within him, and Maeda's the same. And let's be honest, Brendan Rodgers or any manager would be lucky to inherit them into the squad, because it makes your playing style a whole lot easier. And Marvin's right, it makes the rest of the squad buy into your work ethic that bit easier. Because if you can point to your top goal scorer and your winger and say, that's how hard those work, as midfielders coming in, your McCowans and your Engels, that's what we expect from you. So it makes it easier to achieve.
I think the manager demands
pressing.
it. That's what I think. I think the manager demands it.
No, but that's what I'm saying. You would demand it off players, right, but you don't get that level of tracking back from strikers.
Listen, it's in his nature anyway. I've never have done it in my life, but it's in his nature. But at the end of the day, he's looking across at the dugout.
Yeah.
And he's saying, listen, if I'm not putting my shift in here, somebody else has got to come and take my jersey.
But Marvin, obviously, Brendan Rodgers would be the first to say that, it's the team performance, the unit, because they create a chance for him to go through one-on-one and he misses, and they create a chance that he scores but it's ruled out for offside, but there's enough opportunity there. The patterns of play, the waves of attack are so structured that he'll get his goal against Rangers, as he always does.
Yeah, exactly that. And as you said, it's the pattern of play. Everyone knows where each other are going to be when they get into that final third. They know the runs that are going to be made. They know where to put the ball. Half the time, the Celtic midfielders, when the ball's coming into them, they're not even looking at where they're running. They're just playing the ball because they know Kyogo's going to go. They know Maeda's going to go. They know Kun's going to go, or Forrest when he comes on, because they're willing to run in behind. And as you said, you don't mind a player missing 1 or 2 chances when they're willing to work back as hard as that, because do you know what? It might mean someone else has to score a goal today, but you know he's going to put in the shift for you, and it's infectious. That's what happens within your squad as a manager. When you've got him doing that at Maeda, for any player that, like you guys are saying there, that comes into this football club, say, well, this is our top goal scorer, this is our talisman, and look how hard he's willing to work. And if he's doing that and scoring goals, you have to do exactly the same.
What about the negative side of that goal from a Rangers perspective? The one guy that they really thought they could rely on when everything else round about them is going pear-shaped is Jack Butland.
Yeah. His positioning was horrendous. I have no idea what was going through his mind. And as Mark Wilson pointed out to us in the studio, the ball's 2 yards inside the post when it goes into the net. So I know he's a decent goalkeeper, but he is prone to error, and he must hate the sight of Kyogo, because Kyogo just has a glee day every time he plays Rangers. It's all part of what's going on. You pick any Rangers player, the manager, nobody got anything right today. And I'll be very interested to hear what the manager says, because I think the fans are losing belief in Clement, and he had better not come out with statements after the game that make them say, this man is waffling.
But it's Mark, again, we mentioned it during the game, there's still a lot of credit to Kyogo. Even if a keeper's out of position, he was, I think, see it again, I think more than 25 yards, right? Players always put their laces through it from there. If they're running with the ball in their stride, it's always the way they hit the ball. But the crowd's going crazy, it's noisy, he's got players around him, his head's down, he's dribbling, and he spots that Jack Butland's, it probably is only maybe 2-3 yards over to one side, and he spots it, has the presence of mind to try and pull it off the way he does, and then the execution to do it.
Top players do that. Top players get their head up, see what's round about them, see what's the best option, and Kyogo obviously saw that. He saw the gap. It's one thing seeing it and another thing executing it, and he's got the quality to do that, but there's no doubt it's a mistake from Butland to be so far over, but it's a top quality finish. But his movement, and Marv touched on his movement, he took proper, all over the pitch. But when Taylor wins that, you see where Kyogo's dropped into. He's in acres of space because he comes off the centre backs, and it's his awareness that leads him to obviously take on the shot and score.
Thank you to Jiggy on his way back from the game. 01419511025. If you call right now, we'll do our best to get you on next.
After they play, you have your say. 0141 951 1025. Clyde One Super Scoreboard's open line.
Gordon Dalziel, Mark Wilson and Hugh Keevins are in the studio. You can call us, you can watch us on the live stream on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube. You can send us a tweet, and Jiggy's back. Jiggy's on Twitter now. He's looking for more. He wants a shout out for his Missus Lizzie for picking him up.
Jiggy and Lizzie
obviously didn't quite get the shout out in that he was supposed to when he was on the phone.
Hi Lizzie.
But anyway, let's not overdo it. 01419511025 if you want to join in. We're going to hear from the managers soon as well. Always a huge part of a day like today. Let's hear from Philippe Clement, his thoughts firstly on Rangers' performance.
That we started the game really well, that we had best of the ball in the first 10 minutes, get 2 really good opportunities, with Cyril coming free in front of goal, and with Rabi a free header there. So you need to be clinical in those games, and to come in front, it changes the momentum, and it would have helped the team a lot to go in front here, and we did the good things with the ball to create that, but we need to be more clinical in those moments. Was the same in the second half, because at the end Celtic has today 14 shots, we have 13. They had 4 on target, we had 4 on target, but you lose with 3-0, so that's really a clear result and difference in efficiency. And of course you give them a lot of confidence if they come 1-0 in front and 2-0 in front. It's always easier to play. But ball possession was also equal today, 47-53 between the two teams. So I was not happy with the reaction after the 1-0. It was not good enough. There we went down in the first half. Second half was better reaction. But you have to become more open as a team, because you need to chase 2 goals. and to take more risks. So that creates also chances for them. But on the other side, we had also really 100% chances, but they need to be put against the net.
Marvin, just because you were the eyewitness, and the eye test is always so important, and it reminds you of why stats are just that. He's right. I looked at the stats. The possession was pretty close, passes made pretty close, even the modern fangled XG was pretty close. That will not give the Rangers fans one shred of comfort tonight.
No, nor should it. I think a couple of those shots on target, maybe 3 of them were towards the end of the game as well. And as I said, if Celtic would have conceded, I think they would have gone up another gear or another 2 gears if they need to. So, yeah, listen, all those stats can read what you want them to read. But as you said, the eye test for what happened today wasn't a close game. And as I said, it was a game that if Celtic needed to go up in gears, they would have. I'm surprised that he's not said more about the way they conceded the goals, but maybe that's something that he wants to do in private, not publicly. But I get the frustration that Rangers fans are going to have because they could see what happened with the goals. They could see that they were avoidable. They could see there was a lack of work rate, etc., or using their bodies to protect the ball. So maybe they would have expected to hear that from the manager. But yeah, listen, those stats can read whatever they want to read. The important one is it was 3-0.
As a famous politician once said, there are lies, damned lies, and statistics. And the Rangers fans know what they're looking at, and they're not interested in 14 shots against 13 shots and whatever else he comes up with. Celtic outplayed and outfought and outthought Rangers. There was never, from the moment that Dalziel made us score the first goal, ever any doubt about who would win the match. And the overall picture is that the gulf between Celtic and Rangers in Philippe Clement's time at Ibrox has started to get bigger and not smaller. So I would leave the stats and talk about the overall impression because they're getting left well behind Rangers.
He's underestimating the Rangers supporters. I said he talks the talk. For me, that interview was nonsense. First and foremost, he talks about the first 2 chances. The 2 of them were offside. He tried to make it a picture that Rangers were a bit unlucky today. The gulf in class between Rangers and Celtic today was enormous. And he's coming out, and I'm sorry, he's got to realise you can't underestimate Rangers support. Rangers supporters will know they were well and truly beat today. In fact, they'll be quite happy in the fact that it was only 3-0. It could have been a sorer one in 3-0. And yet, once again, that's why I said it earlier, I might be unpopular here. I have never been convinced of this guy. I think he just talks for the sake of talking. I don't see style of football. I look at some of his signings are very, very poor. You're a manager that leads by example. You've got to have, that respect that your players are going to go out there and give that desire of tracking back and doing the basic things in football. Brendan Rodgers has certainly got it. He demands it. So that interview today would worry me if I was sitting a Rangers supporter listening to that.
I was going to say that. I think for Rangers supporters, that's concerning. I think Philippe Clement could have done with just a good, honest interview after that. After some of the stuff he's come out with in previous games and the moral victory and all that nonsense and even other games, today is clear that there was a huge gulf to anybody that could be. And he could have just come out and said that. Now, he's talking about stats and shots and goal. But when did you get the shots and goal? When Celtic were 3-0 up or when the game was in the balance? The game was over. So when did you get the majority of your possession? When Celtic took their foot off the gas? Daz is right. He's trying to pull the wool over Rangers fans' eyes, and they could clearly see, staring them right at the face, like all of us, what happened today. And he could have just done with, in my opinion, coming out and saying, we were outdone, we were outclassed, we need to get better in this fixture, and left at that.
What do you think, Jimmy? Jimmy's a Rangers fan. The manager's talking about possession and felt like they did well in certain ways. Is that the way you saw it?
I could use a few words that would maybe get me fined. He's talking absolute garbage. I just can't believe the rubbish that's come out of Cleveland. We're not interested in 53 and 47%. We're not interested in that at all. We're interested in a winning team. But what worries me is watching the game today is that there's nobody talking to each other. guys. There's no communication on the park. But not my biggest fear is. My biggest fear is Hearts and Dundee United are playing this now. And if Dundee United get a result tonight, then we could be fourth in the league. Our first game after the international break is against Dundee United at Tannadice. Dundee United will beat us, which I think they probably will. And we could be fifth or sixth in the league. You know, they've been playing poor all season. The 6-0 against Ross County flattered us because Ross County were probably one of the poorest teams I've seen this season, or in a lot of seasons. But I'm not being bad against Ross County, but we were good in the day because Ross County were bad. But we're very poor, and the wee cheering and then dancing about after beating St John's in the cup was absolutely embarrassing. So for me, it's Clement's talking, and I hope I can use the word again. He's talking absolute garbage. They were not interested in the stats. Rangers were very, very poor today because we've not got a decent team.
The irony.
It's from top to bottom. It is that. And if Dundee United they beat us at Tannadice in a couple of weeks, guys, I'm sorry to say, but Clement must go.
The irony is this man has a backstory. This man has been a title winner in Belgium. This man was good enough to be offered the job at Monaco. It didn't go well for him there. It is not going well for him at Ibrox, and I don't know why. But I said before we heard anything from him, he had better not say anything that would cause a negative reaction among the Rangers fans, and he has. And Jimmy has highlighted the fact that he's not listening to any of that stuff about stats. For some reason, and he's approaching his first anniversary in the job, for some reason, Philippe Clement can't get a tune out of these Rangers players. And I don't know whether it's because of the general lack of funds for him to bring in players of better quality. But whoever he brings in, whoever was already there, the performances are going from bad to worse, not in the opposite direction.
The only thing for me that was missing from that nonsense of an interview, and no Rangers fans going to buy that. You might get one or two. No Rangers fans going to buy it. They watch with their own eyes, Gordon. They see the difference in class and they understand that.
Are you on to a slight hiding to nothing where he comes out and admits the golf and then he gets battered for that anyway? We are quite like that in this city.
He can divide it a little bit. He can talk about, I think Marv's right, he can talk about the disappointment of the goals and, you know, if we come here against a team of Celtic, we've got to do better in the sense of tracking and doing our work, and we lost the goals at the wrong time, whatever it may be. The only thing that was missing there was, I was waiting for him to say, well, we had a better warm-up today and with more high fives. So maybe that's going forward. Nobody's buying that nonsense. And I don't know why somebody doesn't just grab them and say, look, this is Glasgow. This is where Rangers supporters, they love the club, they support the club. They're not going to buy that. They will not buy that today.
Maybe that's just one part of the press conference, and I've not heard any more of it than you have. Let's hear what he had to say on this idea of the gap and how big it is.
So, of course, it's a team, and we spoke about that. Celtic is now, with this team that started, playing already more than 1 year. Some guys are playing 2-3 years together. Of course, there are more automatism between players and to do the right things at the right moment, and the speed of handling, because they did it so many times together. We are just at the start with a new squad, with a new team. In that way, there were really positive things in the beginning of the game, but you need to kill off the game then and to score, and then it can be another dynamic. So of course, when it's 3-0, you need to shut up at that moment and to accept that you lost and it was not good enough. So we're going to work really hard the next couple of months to be much better in January.
Does that make you feel any better about it, Jimmy? Is it more aligned with your thinking?
Absolute rubbish. Absolute rubbish he's talking. You know, the players were brought in haven't been up to standard, and the players that we've let go for nothing, they could write off maybe 5 or 6 decent players. They were let go. He's talking absolute rubbish. Look, we're losing patience with him. You know, we know there's a lot of things happening behind the scenes, and obviously the money's not there. But I mean, for me today, the damage limitation and 3-0 was a decent score for us to come away with. But He's absolutely talking. He's talking. I use the word again. He's talking garbage. He's not a Rangers manager for me. His time he moved on, and I heard what Hugh said there. And he failed at Monaco and he looks like he's going to fail here. It's like another Caixinha, and it's becoming a nightmare. You know, I can see Rangers maybe finishing at the end of the season 3rd or 4th in the league, and that's unacceptable.
At least he cut to the chase.
Fans.
He cut to the chase and said, at 3-0, you have to shut up. That was his expression. You have to shut up and accept that it wasn't good enough. So he cut to the chase at that point. The problem that he has in the earlier part of that clip, he said that Celtic have been together for 2 or 3 years. Well, in some cases, it's even longer than that. However, this is to presuppose that you will get 2 or 3 years, and he won't. He won't get that length of time. And I know that Rangers are trying desperately to break the cycle of managers in, managers out in jig time. But Philippe Clement, at Rangers' current rate of regression, won't get 2 or 3 years.
I mean, Marvin, there is a bit of truth in that. There has to be. How much emphasis Rangers fans want to put on it is up to them. But, you know, McGregor, Hatate, Kyogo, you know, Greg Taylor, these patterns that Celtic have been working on, they're so embedded now. They're so good at it.
Yeah, they're definitely embedded. And listen, it does take time, and I get what he's saying. And you know, some of the players have been in and around it for a long period of time. But one thing I would say is it's not that, you know, players for Rangers are failing with the style of play. Like, you know, the guys in the studio said and the fans have called up, at times it doesn't look like there's any style. So, you know, it's not that they're trying to do something and you can see what they're trying to do. As I said, when they get into the final third, it's off the cuff. There isn't any underlapping or, you know, overlapping, or they're trying to put crosses in early or linking off the striker. It changes every single time they go forward, and that's the reason it breaks down so much. And the flip side of that is McCarron comes in today and Engels came onto the pitch. They've been at Celtic for what, 24, 48 hours? And they didn't look like they were struggling to do what they needed to do. Yes, they didn't get as many touches as maybe they wanted, but you can see they were in the right sorts of areas trying to do the right sorts of things. You know, and listen, in 2 or 3 years' time, is Matondo going to track his man back? Is Cherney on the far side going to use his body against Greg Taylor? You know, that's not about 2 or 3 years' time. These are professional footballers. They have to do their jobs first.
Yeah, well, I'm going to hear from Brendan Rodgers. You can pour over his every word, a bit of a happier mood, I would suspect, and you can hear that next.
It's Clyde One Super Scoreboard's open line 0141 951 1025.
We're on the home straight, just about 10 minutes or so remaining for you to get your calls in and react to events at Celtic Park. Marvin Bartley's still there. How much do you just love making him wait?
Yeah. Does he know we're on to 6 o'clock?
To the end.
Good one.
Because he's late for everything and now we're in control.
He's been at Celtic Park longer than he's at Queen of the South.
Oh, that was below his belt.
2-footed from
Shuggy.
Expected better from Hugh.
Yeah.
You two used to be friends. The best of it is we know that the TV coverage is finished, so he's left home, is sitting waiting,
beeping the horn,
and he's delaying it all. Anyway, you're nearly there, Marvin. Hang tight. Let's hear the thoughts of Brendan Rodgers on today.
No, it was a fantastic performance. I thought we were electric going forward. Scored 3, and we look at the other chances we had in the game was very, very good, but also equally as pleasing, defensively solid and strong, and right to the very end. Kasper makes a really good save at the end. So, but overall, it was such a great day for us, and it just continues that the quality, the speed, the intensity of which we've been playing.
There will be obvious caveats, Hugh, about it's helpful when you've got the most money and you've got the best players, but it does all seem very in control at the moment. And I know he gets stick for it because some of it's the kind of Brentisms and whatever, but when he said about that's a Brendan team, someone said to him in pre-season, that's a Brendan team. For what it's worth, it does kind of look that way at the moment. That last year, you ride out a bit of frustration at the start and it all looks like it's happening exactly how he wants it now.
He said something on Friday. At the core of every Celtic supporter story is Celtic versus Rangers. Therefore, he set the platform. And we've gone over what Philippe Clement had to say and questioned the wisdom of saying what he said about stats. Brendan Rodgers had all the buzzwords in a row there. Electric going forward. Solid, strong, to the very end in defence. Speed, intensity. He knows what he's looking at. and he is looking at the domination of Rangers for as long as he's at Celtic Park, and that is a comfort to the supporters and a worry to the Rangers fans.
Marvin, I wonder if actually the moment you really saw that was the disallowed goal, because there's a bit of chaos and it maybe suited Rangers for it to be kind of front foot and scrappy. But if you could get Brendan Rodgers on the board and draw a move that they'd come up with in training, that disallowed goal, I'm sure, is the sort of thing they must work on all the time.
Yeah, and listen, it was a constant throughout this game. Like you said, it's repeated actions and it's repeated plays forward and patterns of play, etc. And the thing is, they were getting so much joy with it. They never really had to change what they were doing. And as you said, the disallowed goal was exactly that. Gets down the side and then it plays it across and Kyogo puts it in the back of the net. And that should have been the warning that Rangers needed, to almost refocus again. Because as we said, they started the game well, but they just didn't do that. It's almost like that disallowed goal spooked them. And Celtic then thought, we can continue doing this against them. We can keep getting in foot races with them, and we'll continue to get in behind them. And listen, Brendan Rodgers will be absolutely delighted, as I said. And I actually think during his whole tenure, over the 2 tenures he's had at Celtic, this is the furthest away Rangers have been from them in terms of, a game in isolation. Rangers did not lay a glove on Celtic today. I know there was a lot of bookings, etc., but there wasn't any real physical tackles. They weren't trying to get close to anybody. They weren't trying to leave their mark and listen within the rules of the game. There was just nothing about them. They just allowed themselves to get beaten and then just wander off the pitch after 94 minutes.
Well, we did say it at half-time, the one thing that's been missing, if you can call it that, from the fixture recently is Celtic have looked like they would be really dominant on the scoreboard, and then it didn't transpire. Rangers would get one back, it would maybe get a bit nervy, so it was different obviously today.
I think Marvin made a statement there that's very, very true and very, very worrying for Rangers at the same time. In the 2 spells that Brendan Rodgers has had as Celtic manager, the gulf now looks bigger than it ever has been.
I'm always wary of those snap judgments. You remember the first one, the Dembele hat-trick, 5-1, Joey Barton, etc. I don't know. I know we like these big bold statements about where they are.
I'm looking about the 2.
Some of that Rangers team were miles away at the time.
But I'm looking at the complexion of both clubs. You've got one club that is the model of stability and is cash rich and is now taken to spending that cash to record breaking levels, and you have another club who don't have money.
Yeah. Oh, listen, I get that, and there won't be much in it. I don't think it's much solace to the Rangers fans, but I don't know why we don't need to make the big sweeping judgment. There were some proper doings the first time he was here as well, but either way it's good for the Celtic fans.
I think the credit for Brendan Rodgers is quite simple for me, Gordon. We had phone calls about style of play, everybody talking about Postecoglou. Nobody will be talking about Postecoglou now. Brendan Rodgers has went away,
lost today incidentally against Newcastle.
He's pre-season, he come back, he told everybody, listen, this is a different Celtic team. We were waiting to see what was happening. The pace, sharpness, the interlinking, the movement is absolutely brilliant.
Stevie's a Celtic fan, you must have enjoyed it, Stevie.
Good afternoon, panel. I was absolutely ecstatic, but I'm going to stop there because I'm going to rewind back to the pre-season. Now, if everyone didn't watch us playing in the States, I'm going to watch the Man City game was a telltale sign of how we were growing as a team collectively. Mindset, structural, spine, drive, passing move, interchanging passing, telepathic moving. The Man City were in 6s and 7s against us, and Chelsea got the same. We are on a par with England's best right now. That's what I'm putting my beloved hoops. We are up against, we are better than Man United, we're better than Tottenham, we're up there with Man City. We're right up there.
Good to see nobody's getting carried away.
Behave yourself. As much as Celtic are absolutely brilliant, dominating Scottish football,
hold on,
not a chance. You're kidding yourself on.
No, I'm not. I'm just saying, we will go in. If you watch us play, the mind, the drive, the passing and movement, right? If we play, and the speed that we play is unbelievable.
Have you seen the speed that Manchester City play when they're up and running?
Yes, I've seen them playing in the pre-season.
Did you see them against West Ham last night?
Yes, I've seen them against West Ham, but that was against pre-season against us, and they were going toe-to-toe.
Pre-season's completely different, and plus the fact English teams are about 2 or 3 weeks behind Scottish teams. Now, as much as I'll give you praise with Celtic, I think you're getting a little bit carried away when you put yourself up against Man City.
Maybe, I'll come off a notch a wee bit, right? When we're on a level there, right? We're definitely on a level there. So you can't take that away from us. We're definitely a level there. And I'm going to say this to you. Rangers woes, and I'm going to put one man that they had, Giovanni Van Bronckhorst. That's when their trouble started, when they let him go. Van Bronckhorst was a man for their club. They have no spine, they have no money, right? They need to gather what they've got, and try and build on it. But that's not our fault,
Stevie, just quickly. Yep. Manchester City won the English Premier League. You telling me Celtic could win the English Premier League?
No, you're missing.
So you're not up there with Manchester City then?
No, I'm saying we are on a par with Premiership teams now. That's how Brendan Rodgers got us playing.
It's a weird argument now, because it now sounds like we all want to do down Celtic on a day that they were very good, Marvin, which is not really the aim, but I suppose if the point comes up, you have to give your opinion on it.
Yeah, no, listen, let's stick to how well Celtic did today. I think comparing them to Manchester City is a real stretch of the imagination. I know what happened in pre-season, but you look at the Manchester City team is kids, and I know Haaland played in Grealish. I think Phillips played in that team as well. But yeah, listen, let's talk about Celtic today. They were brilliant, and they are heading in the right direction. When Brendan first came in, a lot of people spoke about the style, when it was slow, and it was this and it was that and the other, and he's evolved. All good managers evolved. Players have taken by the scruff of the neck as well. They look fantastic today, and listen, they have to do things domestically, which I think they'll do, and then they'll head into the Champions League with a new format, and we'll see how they fare in there. But listen, I was just as impressed with Celtic off the ball as I was with them on the ball today. Listen, their all-round game was absolutely brilliant.
For what it's worth, when Celtic win the Champions League, I'm going to phone him back on a night that you're on, Bobby, and you
the ferry won't even go to Ayr and get him now.
You won't come on that night.
Okay, when
you'll
Celtic
be
win
hiding
the Champions
in a corner.
League.
Marvin, thank you. Safe trip home. We'll speak to
Cheers,
you
buddy.
During the week, tomorrow in fact, I think, with Andy Halliday. If think he'll brave it. He was good yesterday though for Motherwell. Then he has to weigh it up against how he'll be feeling today. We'll see. Anyway, thank you to the three of you. It was a pleasure as always. Thank you for your calls and your tweets, and for those of you who watched the live stream, we'll be back at 6 o'clock tomorrow. Enjoy the rest of your Sunday.
The Clyde One Super Scoreboard Podcast.
With Lucas Volvo. The full electric range is now available on Motability.
And she's off. The corner shop is in sight. The National Lottery sign is there, and she's heading right for it. Look at Rebecca. She's making a real difference just by playing the National Lottery. Her numbers help fund Team GB and Paralympics GB athletes, powering their journey to Paris one ticket at a time. Oh, just look at her go. Unbelievable stuff. Changing lives like it's a walk to the shops.
The National Lottery, changing lives every day. Rules and procedures apply. Players must be 18 or over.